Chapter 861, Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. Yi Chun made a bold statement to attract more powerful figures and to push his own potential further, compelling himself to train harder to account for the countless formidable enemies. Divine Venerable Mengyu, being who she was, instantly grasped Yi Chun's thought process. Yi Chun, how do you plan to cultivate this month? Divine Venerable Mengyu asked. 1 month is too short to advance your combat power by a step. It's not easy. Yi Chun smiled and replied, Senior Mengyu, during this month, I intend to rigorously cultivate the eternal God body and the divine arts associated with my superior mysterious heavenly divine artifact. Hearing about Yi Chun possessing a superior mysterious heavenly divine artifact did not surprise Divine Venerable Mengyu. However, hearing that Yi Chun wanted to cultivate the eternal God body genuinely shocked her. Eternal God body. Yi Chun, where did you obtain the cultivation mantra for the eternal God body? Divine Venerable Mengyu asked in surprise. Yi Chun pointed to the cave dwelling behind him. Divine Venerable Mengyu was stunned. Was it left to you by junior sister Longli, this divine body? Yi Chun nodded. Without Longli, he indeed would not have had access to such a precious divine body. Junior sister Longli indeed could have acquired the eternal God body, nodded Divine Venerable Mengyu. However, the eternal God body is extremely difficult to cultivate. It's not just hard to cultivate. Even preparing the required materials takes a great deal of effort. As the top-ranked individual on the Divine Venerable list, Divine Venerable Mengyu naturally had heard of the eternal God body. She was even more aware of the difficulties involved in its cultivation. She had once prepared to cultivate this divine body, but eventually, part because this divine body was exceedingly difficult to cultivate, and the materials were hard to gather, and partly because the body was more suitable for male martial artists. Thus, ultimately, Divine Venerable Mengyu chose to cultivate another type of divine body. Hearing now that Yi Chun wished to cultivate the eternal God body, the first difficulty Divine Venerable Mengyu thought of was how Yi Chun would prepare the required cultivation materials. Yi Chun blinked his eyes and said to Divine Venerable Mengyu, Senior, for the cultivation of the first divine body pattern, Earth divine pattern, of the eternal God body, I have already prepared all the materials. All prepared. Divine Venerable Mengyu was once again surprised. It is said that cultivating the Earth divine pattern requires 36 primary materials and 72 auxiliary materials. Your eternal God body mantra was left in this cave dwelling by junior sister Long Li, right? You have only been here for a couple of weeks. How did you manage to prepare all the materials so quickly? Originally, it was Divine Venerable Mengyu and Sovereign Jialan who brought Yi Chun to this God King cave dwelling of Long Li. Divine Venerable Mengyu couldn't possibly imagine how, in just a few days, Yi Chun had managed to prepare all the materials. Could it be that junior sister Long Li prepared all the materials for you? Impossible. She probably didn't know you would certainly decide to cultivate this divine body. She must have left you many divine bodies to choose from, and in that case, it's impossible she prepared the materials specifically for you. Besides, even if it was junior sister Long Li, it's not possible for her to have prepared all the materials for the eternal God body all at once. Could it be that my mentor left the materials for you? That's not possible either. My mentor has gone to the splendid Star Sea and hasn't returned. Divine Venerable Mengyu continued guessing. Yi Chun smiled and said, It's neither Long Li nor Lord Sovereign Xuechen. My materials were prepared by another 9-star sovereign. The materials for Yi Chun were prepared by Mrs. He. Divine Venerable Mengyu would never have guessed that within these few weeks, Yi Chun had made a trip to the 10,000 Beasts domain and had such a harvest. Another 9-star sovereign? Hearing Yi Chun's words, Divine Venerable Mengyu was profoundly shocked. A 9-star sovereign was no ordinary sovereign. Even in the Mountain Divine Nation, there are no more than 10 9-star sovereigns in total. Divine Venerable Mengyu could never have imagined that Yi Chun also knew another 9-star sovereign besides Sovereign Xuechen, and that this 9-star sovereign had prepared the materials for Yi Chun in such a short time. Yi Chun really cannot be judged by common standards. The young man admired by the junior sister always surprises people. Knowing that Yi Chun had all the cultivation materials ready, Divine Venerable Meng Yu no longer dwelled on the issue of materials. She suddenly thought of something and turned to Yi Chun, asking, Yi Chun, where do you plan to cultivate the earth divine pattern of the eternal God body? Yi Chun replied, right here in the cave dwelling. Senior Meng Yu, is there an issue? Divine Venerable Meng Yu shook her head repeatedly. To cultivate the earth divine pattern, there is an exceptionally suitable place, much better than cultivating here in the cave dwelling. Hearing Divine Venerable Meng Yu's words, Yi Chen's heart leapt with joy. Divine Venerable Meng Yu knew far more about the Supreme Divine Institute than he did. If she said there was a good place for it, it certainly meant it would be greatly beneficial for his cultivation of the eternal God body. Yi Chen hurriedly asked, what place? Divine Venerable Meng Yu pointed in the direction of the 12 sealed continents of the Supreme Divine Institute and said, there is a sealed continent called Ruins Continent. Within it is a place called Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, which is extremely suitable for cultivating the Earth Divine Pattern. Ruins Continent? Earth Fiend Cultivation Room? Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Early the next morning, Yi Chun, equipped with his cultivation materials, flew towards the Ruins Continent as mentioned by Divine Venerable Meng Yu. Like the Slaughter Field Sealed Continent, the entire Ruins Continent was also under complete seal. Yi Chun, in the guard hall outside the Ruins Continent, directly approached the elder in charge of guarding the Ruins Continent to inquire about the situation of the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. You want to go to the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room? An elder responsible for guarding the Ruins Continent looked at Yi Chun. The Earth Fiend Cultivation Room actually corresponds to the entire Earth Fiend area of the Ruins Continent. That Earth Fiend area, the natural underground rocks below, possess a killing force far surpassing the other star continents. Not to mention other things, just the gravity itself is tens of thousands of times stronger than other star continents. Many god kings would probably be unable to even fly in the Earth Fiend area. After the Supreme Divine Institute acquired this continent, they even transplanted countless precious rocks from other stars into the Earth Fiend area, making the killing force there even greater. To cultivate in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, even in the most inferior God King level cultivation room, one would definitely suffer greatly. Additionally, outside the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, in other parts of the Earth Fiend area, lives a type of fiend beast, which is used to test the cultivation achievements of cultivators in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. This fiend beast is extremely fierce, and to truly forge the abilities of cultivators, the Institute did not implement any protection. Once attacked by the fiend beast, you could very likely die within the Earth Fiend area. Are you sure you want to enter the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room for cultivation? The elder informed Yi Chun about the circumstances of the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. Yi Chun had heard some of these details from Divine Venerable Meng Yu, and although he was somewhat astonished by the rumors of the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room and Fiend Beast, he certainly wouldn't give up just like that. Yi Chun said to the elder decisively, I'm sure about entering. The elder looked at Yi Chun deeply and then nodded. Entering the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room costs 100,000 merit points per day. How many days do you plan to cultivate? Yi Chun said, let's go for 28 days. When Yi Chun arrived at the Earth Fiend area of the Ruins Continent, he truly realized that the elder was not exaggerating. The gravity of this area was terrifyingly strong. Yi Chun's flying speed was already extremely fast, but upon entering this area, he felt as if his entire body was filled with lead, extremely heavy. Not only did his escaping speed drastically decrease, but even his flying height could only maintain a few hundred feet. And this was only because Yi Chen's strength was sufficiently powerful. If it were any other god kings, they probably wouldn't even be able to fly at all in the Earth Fiend area. Yi Chun was directly teleported outside the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room in the Earth Fiend area. There were individual cultivation chambers, each marked with God King level, Lower Earth Divine Venerable level, Middle Earth Divine Venerable level. Yi Chun looked at the vacant cultivation chambers and directly walked in, picking one after another. Eventually, Yi Chun settled in a Lower Heavenly Divine Venerable level cultivation chamber. This lower heavenly divine venerable level earth fiend cultivation chamber, due to the region's killing force, is even more terrifying than fighting numerous lower heavenly divine venerables. Let's cultivate here. This place is suitable for me. Once he selected a cultivation chamber, Yi-chun immediately opened the prohibition of the chamber's door, setting it as a chamber in use. Meanwhile, Yi-chun surveyed the situation inside the chamber. The chamber had an area of several thousand feet, filled with a brownish air, where the gravity was even stronger than outside. Moving inside, Yi-chun's actions were much slower. The chamber contained cultivation platforms and also decorations like plants and stone pools. Yi-chun also noticed that there was a stone door leading directly to the outside earth fiend area, corresponding to the chamber, where continuous roars of beasts came from. It seems that the roars outside come from those fiend beasts. The lower heavenly divine venerable level earth fiend cultivation chamber is matched with lower heavenly divine venerable level fiend beasts. After some cultivation, I'll properly compare my skills against these fiend beasts. After surveying the chamber, Yi-chun directly sat down on the cultivation platform. Simultaneously, he took out all the materials for the first divine body pattern, earth divine pattern, of the eternal God body cultivation, and placed them on the platform. There are 28 days left. That's exactly a month until the agreed day of challenge. During this time, I aim to complete the cultivation of the earth divine pattern. Yi-chun, settled in meditation with his spirits high, began his first day of cultivation in the earth fiend cultivation room. Chapter 862-1 month later. From this day on, Yi-chun was completely immersed in arduous cultivation. During this period, Yi-chun only left the earth fiend cultivation room twice. Once was on the 20th day after Yi-chun entered the earth fiend cultivation room, where he went through the secret chamber's stone door, directly into the corresponding earth fiend area outside, engaging in battle with over 100 fiend beasts. And in this particular battle, Yi-chun used only one technique, the earth divine pattern of the eternal God body. Even with just this single method, Yi-chun gained the upper hand in the battle against over 100 fiend beasts, not a single one of which was his match. Clearly, Yi-chun had made incredible progress in cultivating the earth divine pattern. The second time Yi-chun left the earth fiend cultivation room was on the last day of his cultivation there, when he truly delved deep into the fiend beast territory, leaping over 1,000 fiend beasts, all the way into the core of the fiend beast herd. And in the end, with the flying sword's light from the gourd sword flashing, he struck down several core fiend beasts. Time flew by swiftly. Before he knew it, the day of battle 1 month later, that Yi-chun had set a date for with lower heavenly divine venerable combat power in the slaughter field, had finally arrived. Roar! Roar! In the midst of the fiend beast's frenzied howling, Yi-chun, who was engaged in fierce fighting, moved in a flash and flew into the void above the earth fiend area. At that moment, it seemed as if the terrible earth fiend force of this region could no longer impede Yi-chun's flight. Yi-chun reached out in the void and with a grand gesture summoned over 100 flying swords, transforming into over 100 beams of sword light, shooting back into the gourd-shaped mysterious heavenly divine artifact in front of him. At the same time, over a dozen fiend beasts fell onto the ground. Yi-chun's gaze then turned directly toward the outside of the earth fiend area. Has the day of the 1 month challenge finally arrived? Then let's go meet those who are angered and wish to challenge me. Those individuals at the forefront of the victory rate ranking. Boom! Yi-chun flashed and disappeared from the void. Early on the day of the challenge, 1 month later, countless figures rose up from all corners of the living continent of lower heavenly divine venerables and earth divine venerables at the Supreme Divine Institute and flew straight towards the slaughter field sealed continent. In less than a moment, the number of martial artists gathered in the stands of the slaughter field exceeded 40,000. Almost all individuals with lower heavenly divine venerable combat power from the Supreme Divine Institute were converging towards the slaughter field. Obviously, these people all wanted to witness the battle between Yi-chun and the many strong contenders, which was bound to cause a major uproar in the slaughter field. Boom! In a flash of divine light, a purple figure burst into the spectator platform area of the slaughter field. Seeing this purple figure, many who had arrived early at the slaughter field screamed, "It's Chun Beixian, ranked 7th in the victory rate in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field." He must have heard Yi Chen's challenging words and indeed rushed over in person. Boom! 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 Just as Chun Beixian's figure settled at the central position of the spectator platform, 3 more figures flew in simultaneously, triggering another wave of screams. It's the 3 brothers of the Murong clan, ranking 5th, 9th, and 13th in the victory rate. They've arrived too. Boom! 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 In the end, the screaming became continuous. Individuals ranked in the top 30 of lower heavenly divine venerable combat power in the slaughterfield victory rate had almost all arrived at the scene. Even Bai Chun, who was ranked second only to Bailing Xiaoxiao, had come to the slaughter field. Upon seeing Bai Chen arrive, many strong individuals immediately gathered around him. "Brother Bai Chun, you're actually here too? You're here for Yi Chen as well, aren't you?" Bai Chun nodded slightly. "Humph. I heard that lowly lower god king Yi Chen has the audacity to claim he has yet to meet his match and is seeking defeat. That is an insult to all of us here in the lower heavenly divine venerable slaughter field. Such an arrogant young man. If those of us who are ranked higher don't crush his spirit, he'll likely dismiss all of us. When he arrives later, those of you with lower rankings should challenge him first. It would be best if you can take him down. If you can't, I will make my move." Hearing that Bai Chen would personally take action, many people in the crowd exclaimed, "Even if Yi Chen is strong, he only defeated a nobody ranked 93rd. How could he possibly compare to Brother Bai Chen? For Brother Bai Chen to defeat him would be as easy as slaughtering a chicken." One after another, the powerful came forth and the slaughter field became lively. However, everyone noticed that Bailing Xiaoxiao, who was ranked first in the lower heavenly divine venerable slaughter field based on win rate, was nowhere to be seen in the slaughter field. Could it be that Bailing Xiaoxiao doesn't care about this challenge at all? Countless people speculated in their hearts. Indeed, who is Bailing Xiaoxiao? She's the formidable individual ranked first in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, with a record extending over 10,000 victories and accumulated slaughter points exceeding 10 billion. Her net victory count is even more than 7,000 above the second-ranked Bai Chun, leaving him far behind. It's understandable that she would not regard Yi Chen's combat power as worthy. The strong ones present, including Bai Chen, were certain that without needing Bailing Xiaoxiao to make a move, they would be able to defeat Yi Chen and fully grant his wish of seeking defeat. When the number of people in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field swelled to nearly 50,000, the entire field was bustling with excitement. But this time, nobody took the stage to challenge. Everyone was waiting for Yi Chen's arrival. They knew that today's main event wasn't anyone else's battle of slaughter, but Yi Chen's fight for 50 million slaughter points. However, after waiting for 1 stick of incense time, then 2, they still hadn't seen Yi Chen arrive. Many people started whispering among themselves, "Why hasn't Yi Chen come yet? Could it be that he got cold feet and didn't dare to show up?" In the center area of the slaughter field spectator platform, a group of people centered around Bai Chen also laughed upon hearing the buzzing discussions. "Haha! All that, who dares to fight? Come battle after a month. It seems to me that Yi Chen knew he had stirred up a hornet's nest and doesn't dare to show his face." Bai Chen also waved his hand nonchalantly. "It doesn't matter if Yi Chen doesn't come. Being disgraced in front of everyone, if he did come, is worse than not showing up at all. He might as well play the turtle and draw in his head." As these people were discussing, they suddenly heard a wave of surprised exclamations from around them. "Yi Chen has come. It's that Yi Chen, the one who boasted so confidently a month ago. We were just saying he didn't dare to come, and yet he really did show up." Boom! In an instant, the gazes of Bai Chen, the 3 brothers of the Murong clan, Chun Beixian, and other strong people swiftly turned towards a figure that had just been teleported to the spectator platform. A figure that drew the attention of countless eyes. The strong individuals noticed that this figure was a young man dressed in green robes. This young man, upon seeing the countless gazes focused on himself, shot up into the void with a whoosh. He then proclaimed loudly to everyone with a laugh. "A month ago, I said whoever wishes to challenge me can do so at the price of 50 million slaughter points per fight. I did not expect so many of you to come today. It seems quite a few are eager to challenge me. Since that's the case, then challengers, please come forth." Chapter 863- Defeat me? You're not there yet. Whoosh. The moment Yi Chen's voice sounded, everyone noticed that within the slaughter token, Yi Chen had initiated the challenge option. This meant that finally Yi Chen could be challenged. A lower god king dares to declare his desire for just one defeat? I, Sun Wuji, shall challenge you. Boom! A burly man with a beard shot up from the spectator platform and stood opposite Yi Chen. It's Sun Wuji, who is ranked 32nd in the victory rate of the slaughter field. Unexpectedly, such a strong contender has come forth to face Yi Chen at the start. The spectator platform was abuzz with discussions. Bai Chen and his group nodded when they saw Sun Wuji rise. Sun Wuji? Ranked 32nd? It's good to let him measure Yi Chen's actual prowess. Hearing the chatter around him, Yi Chen turned his attention to the bearded man Sun Wuji who had challenged him. Yi Chen noted that the man's hair and beard were fiery red, a clear sign that he cultivated a formidable fire element cultivation technique or possessed flame divine power. Yi Chen's divine sense simultaneously checked the information on Sun Wuji within the slaughter token. Lower heavenly divine venerable with combat power ranked 32nd in the slaughter field, Sun Wuji, a disciple of an upper earth divine venerable from the Supreme Divine Institute, has won 3,463 matches and lost 1024 matches. Yi Chen murmured, a net victory count of 2,439. Looks not bad, but still somewhat weak. However, Yi Chen noticed that after Sun Wuji stood up and challenged him in public, no one else issued a challenge towards him. Clearly, the others wanted to wait and see the outcome of his fight with Sun Wuji before acting. Since that's the case, let's start with fighting this man first. As Yi Chen was contemplating this, Sun Wuji on the other side was already becoming impatient. What's the matter? Yi Chen boy, are you scared to accept my challenge because I'm ranked 32nd? You're regretting having to lose 50 million of your hard-earned slaughter points at once, aren't you? Listening to Sun Wuji's provocative words, Yi Chen just smiled lightly. I'm not declining your challenge because you're ranked 32nd, but rather, I find this rank a bit too low. However, since no one else is challenging me at the moment, I'll just defeat you first, rank 32, as a warm-up. Having said that, Yi Chen directly accepted Sun Wuji's challenge through the slaughter token, and, seeing that he was assigned to the number 8 slaughter arena, he flew towards it immediately. In an instant, Yi Chen stood upon the slaughter arena. Yi Chen was already on the arena, while Sun Wuji was still amidst the void of the spectator platform. At this moment, Sun Wuji's beard almost seemed to quiver with rage. This Yi Chen, he dares to say my rank of 32nd is too low to challenge him? He even says defeating me is just a warm-up? Sun Wuji's face turned crimson with humiliation as he was belittled in front of tens of thousands. In his rising fury, a boom rang out, and a flame divine blade appeared in his hand. Sun Wuji took a heavy stomp towards the void, and in the next moment, he shot explosively towards the spot opposite Yi Chen on the number 8 arena. Sun Wuji, wielding the flame divine blade, pointed at Yi Chen's nose and said, "You little brat, I really want to see how you're going to warm up with me. In a moment, I won't just defeat you. I'm going to beat you up until you're looking for your teeth all over the ground." Even before the battle started, the air was already filled with the smell of gunpowder. On the spectator platform, the crowd of martial artists added fuel to the fire, yelling, "Stop talking and start practicing. Whoever among you is stronger should just make a move and quickly settle the victory or defeat to find out." In the area where Bai Chen, the 3 brothers of the Murong clan, and Chen Beixian, and others were located, the people who heard what Yi Chen previously said to Sun Wuji also had a flash of brilliance in their eyes. This Yi Chen really arrogant. He has only ever defeated the one ranked 93rd at most. Yet he dares to say that the 32nd rank challenging him is too low. I really want to see what kind of skills he has to be so audacious. Atop arena number 8. Hearing the crazy shouts from the spectator platform, and seeing Sun Wuji's red face, Yichen smiled faintly and said, "Make your move. If you don't do it now, you won't get another chance. To defeat me, you're not capable enough. Stop wasting time." Provoked by Yichen again, where could Sun Wuji endure restraint? With a boom, a shocking crimson divine light of flames surged from his body. Enveloped by the divine light, he appeared like a god of slaughter ablaze with flames. "You little brat. I'll let you taste my power." Sun Wuji and his flame divine blade turned into a terrifying flame that covered 100 yards in the roar of anger. A buzz and a flash of light. He shot towards Yichen with killing intent. It's Sun Wuji's signature move. Sky-burning fierce flames from the top-tier mysterious heavenly divine art. I didn't expect that he would use his trump card right from the start. It seems that he was really infuriated by Yichen. The top-tier mysterious heavenly divine art, sky-burning fierce flames. I heard that Sun Wuji hasn't fully mastered it to great accomplishment. But even if it hasn't reached that level, it's definitely enough to give Yichen a tough time. Many people in the spectator platform recognized Sun Wuji's move and were discussing spiritedly. However, their discussions were cut short in an instant, because they were shocked to see Sun Wuji, who had turned into a terrifying flame covering 100 yards attacking Yichen, was repelled back instantly upon contact with Yichen, the flames being blown back wildly and directly hitting the prohibition light cover around the slaughter arena, resulting in his immediate elimination and transport to the loser's area. Defeated? Everyone had not clearly seen how Yichen made his move before they witnessed Sun Wuji being eliminated. This literally made everyone's jaws drop. The 32nd ranked Sun Wuji, was he not even a match for a single move from Yichen? These people didn't see that. In the instant the terrifying flame that Sun Wuji had become touched Yichen, there was a flash of brown earth spike divine body patterns on Yichen's body. That was clearly the attack pattern of the eternal god bodies, first divine pattern, earth divine pattern. Yichen, after a month's arduous cultivation, had fully mastered the earth divine pattern to great accomplishment. If he couldn't handle a mere 32nd ranker, then his month-long arduous cultivation in the Earth Fiend cultivation room would have been in vain. He wasn't afraid of several hundreds of fiend beasts, let alone Sun Wuji. Yichen had intentionally provoked Sun Wuji earlier just to see if this man had any cunning and to scope out how deep his skills were. Someone who could be provoked so easily was simply not worthy of Yichen's consideration. Yichen glanced at Sun Wuji in the loser's area, who was as pale as death, then stood directly on arena number 8, turning his gaze to the spectator area. His voice carried over to everyone in the spectator area. "Next challenger, make your move." Chapter 864-. The Methods of the Earth Divine Pattern. Yichen's voice echoed throughout the entire lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. However, at this moment the spectator area fell into an eerie silence. Although countless people were shocked beyond belief by Yichen's previous record of 104 consecutive victories with no losses, they could still accept it. After all, the most powerful opponent Yichen had faced was only ranked 93rd in win rate. But now, after achieving 105 consecutive victories, even though he has only won one more battle, everyone's perception of Yichen had completely changed. Because this time, Yichen had defeated a strong contender ranked 32nd in win rate. Ranked 32nd in win rate, that person definitely belonged to the truly powerful ones in the entire lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. The fact that Yichen could defeat even such a character clearly showed everyone that his 105 consecutive victories were not due to luck, but real strength. What was even more terrifying was that nobody had been able to see clearly the moves Yichen used to defeat Sun Wuji. This made many hesitant to challenge him lightly. It was for this reason that after Yichen spoke up, for a moment, no one else stepped forward to challenge him. Could it be that no one dares to challenge me anymore? The strong contenders of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field can't possibly have such little courage, Yichen said with a laugh. Yichen had only fought one battle, and the arena had quieted down. He hadn't even warmed up yet. This forced Yi Chun, who wished for a hearty battle, to resort to using reverse psychology to prompt someone eager to fight to step forward. "I'll take you on." With a swoosh, finally another challenger stepped into the void. Seeing this challenger, Yi Chen's eyes brightened. This person was one of the two main characters in the focal battle that Yi Chen saw when he first came to the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power slaughter field. It was the battle between the ones ranked 23rd and 25th in the win rate of the slaughter field. That battle directly wagered 10 million slaughter points and took place in the middle of the slaughter arena. Back then, the 10 million slaughter points wager on a single battle had shocked Yi Chun immensely. After all, at that time Yi Chun only had 120,000 slaughter points on him. Unexpectedly, Yi Chun had now accumulated 1.43 billion slaughter points so quickly. Now, this person ranked 23rd would finally have a battle with him. The upcoming battle between the two of them was even for a stake of 50 million slaughter points per battle. It is indeed hard to predict the ways of the world. Back then, the battle between this Xiaofeng, ranked 23rd, and Luo Bei, ranked 25th, made a deep impression on me. The technique Xiaofeng excels in is a kind of divine body skill. I didn't finish watching their battle back then. Now, at last, I can have a go with him. Let's pit my divine body skill against his and see who comes out on top. With thoughts flashing through his mind and spirit, Yi Chun immediately accepted Xiaofeng's challenge through his slaughter token. Boom! Seeing the divine light flashing in his own slaughter token, Xiaofeng then leapt up, arriving on slaughter arena number 8 where Yi Chun was located. This time, the onlookers below were no longer discussing among themselves, because even they didn't know who would emerge victorious between Yi Chun and Xiaofeng this time, in the area where the second ranked in win rate by Chun was located. At this moment, watching Yi Chun and Xiaofeng, Bai Chen's eyes also flashed with brilliance. I had intended to make a move myself, but I haven't yet figured out the technique Yi Chun used earlier. Let Xiaofeng take the lead. It gives me a good chance to see exactly what technique Yi Chun used to eliminate Sun Wuji in one fell swoop. Many shared the same thoughts as Bai Chun, and thus almost everyone's divine eyes shone brightly, focusing on the battle between Yi Chun and Xiaofeng on arena number 8. Yi Chun and Xiaofeng didn't talk much. After a fist salute to each other, the next moment, they plunged into fierce battle. Xiaofeng specialized in a divine body skill known as the Golden Xian Shocking Body. Once the divine power surged through his body, his entire physique, including his clothing, turned crimson gold in color. Boom! Xiaofeng stomped fiercely on the arena with his feet, throwing a punch directly at Yi Chun, blasting the void outright with this one strike. The Golden Xian Shocking Body is said to require one to undergo 3 major stages to reach great accomplishment. The Iron Xian Shocking Body, the Copper Xian Shocking Body, the Silver Xian Shocking Body, and only then can one practice the Golden Xian Shocking Body. Practicing this divine body skill is similarly extraordinarily difficult. It is said that each stage of the divine body requires one to strike their own physical body 10 million times with a divine artifact in order to temper out strand by strand of divine patterns. If any single divine pattern breaks, the cultivation of this divine body skill will be ruined. Ultimately, only when all divine patterns completely envelop the physical body does the divine body skill reach great accomplishment. Out of 10,000 who cultivate this divine body, fewer than 10 can successfully reach great accomplishment. Of course, this divine body is also exceptionally powerful. Once successfully cultivated, both the defensive power and attack power become terrifyingly strong. Xiaofeng reached the 23rd rank in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power slaughter field precisely by relying on such a divine body. Among the spectators, many recognized Xiaofeng's Golden Xian Shocking Body when they saw him launching an attack on Yi Chun, with both fists turning into a shade of crimson gold. A lot of them clenched their fists tightly out of sheer nervousness. They had no idea what means Yi Chun would use to counter Xiaofeng's attack at the next moment. This tension only lasted for a fraction of a blink. In the next instant, everyone saw that Xiaofeng's pair of crimson gold fists had already directly struck Yi Chen's chest. At that moment, on Yi Chen's chest, suddenly emerged several leaf-shaped divine patterns shining brightly, and eventually, all the leaf divine patterns transformed into an extremely dense cyan divine light. This cyan divine light shook, and astonishingly sent Xiao Feng's pair of crimson gold fists, along with his entire person, retreating dozens of steps backward. Even the attack known for its extraordinary attack power from the golden Xian shocking body couldn't break through Yi Chen's defenses. That attack isn't enough. Come at me again. Yi Chen, who repelled Xiao Feng's attack, didn't counterattack but instead spoke provocatively towards him. Seeing his attack repelled and hearing Yi Chen's words, Xiao Feng's complexion changed. His whole body shot out towards Yi Chen again, and at the same time, with a tremor of the void, dozens of golden fist shadows bombarded Yi Chen all at once. Bang! 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 However, the outcome was astonishing to all. Xiao Feng, whose attack power increased to dozens of golden fist shadows, was once again completely blocked by the mysterious leaf divine pattern light on Yi Chen's body, and once again bounced back. Still not enough. Unleash your attacks at their strongest extent, Yi Chen urged once more. Xiao Feng, whose attacks were repeatedly ineffective, now had a reddened face from exertion. Finally, he no longer held back, unleashing the strongest attack skills of the golden Xian shocking body. Boom! 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 In an instant, the entire arena area, spanning thousands of feet, was completely enveloped by golden fist light. The sky filled with fist shadows pounded unceasingly, with each one seemingly possessing the power to shatter an entire star continent. Within the defenses of the arena crafted by sovereign great powers, this force didn't spread but instead all bombarded Yi Chen, who stood at its center. Terrifying. This is the golden Xian shocking body's attack, with enough power to tear the earth apart and shatter the sky. It's been a long time since we've seen Xiao Feng unleash all his power. I wonder if that Yi Chen can still withstand it. Countless people discussed animatedly. Amidst the buzzing chatter, everyone saw that the sky full of fist shadows constantly bombarding the center of the arena abruptly exploded with a loud bang. Following that, Yi Chen's figure emerged, and Xiao Feng was once again sent flying. Even Xiao Feng, giving his all, still couldn't breach Yi Chen's defenses. At this moment, Yi Chen, having blocked several consecutive attacks from Xiao Feng, simply smiled lightly. He leapt up and soared into the void. Yi Chen looked towards Xiao Feng and directly said, "Your divine body is said to be the golden Xian shocking body, rumored to have extremely strong defense and attack. I've already seen your attacks just now, and it seems that's the strongest you can do. Now, let me see the power of your defense." As the words of Yi Chen fell, his hands formed a spell, and the divine body light all over him suddenly shifted from cyan into brown. Following that, Yi Chen suddenly flashed from the void, and at the next moment he swung his fist towards Xiao Feng. This punch, when unleashed, seemed like thousands of earth spikes thrusting out, charging at Xiao Feng in a thunderous manner. Upon hearing Yi Chen's words, Xiao Feng had already spurred the divine light on his body to flare up. His entire body shimmered in crimson gold, as if he had erected thousands of layers of a golden bell barrier around himself. But even this multi-layered golden bell barrier shattered like glass before the thousands of earth spikes from Yi Chen's punch. With a single punch, Yi Chen shattered all of Xiao Feng's protective divine light, and the fist sent Xiao Feng flying backward like a meteor. Finally, amidst a harsh scream, Xiao Feng was blasted to the brink of life and death, and the arena's protective prohibitions declared him defeated, eliminating him from the combat zone. Defeat. Xiao Feng was defeated. His attack power couldn't break through Yi Chen's defenses. His defensive power was even more vulnerable. In the contest with Yi Chen, Xiao Feng's divine body skills, no matter which kind, were utterly outclassed. Following Xiao Feng's defeat, Yi Chen's slaughter point soared to 193 million points, and Yi Chen's battle record reached a terrifying 106 consecutive victories with no defeats. Silence. Once again, the entire spectator area fell into silence. But the next moment, Incredible cries of astonishment and several deeply shaken shouts spread to every corner of the slaughter field. Among these shouts, even Bai Chen's voice could be heard. It's the Eternal God Body's Earth Divine Pattern Attack Method. Yi Chun has actually cultivated the Eternal God Body. Chapter 865 The Battle of the Peak. The great name of the Eternal God Body is known by many Heavenly Divine Venerables and Earth Divine Venerables of the Supreme Divine Institute. However, they basically have never seen anyone cultivate it. Because they had long heard about the difficulty of cultivating this divine body, in terms of difficulty, the Eternal God Body is countless times more challenging than the Golden Shen Shocking Body, cultivated by Xiaofeng. The spectators had never expected that they would see the methods of the Eternal God Body on Yi Chun. At this moment, Bai Chen's face was twitching. It is rumored that the first Earth Divine Pattern of the Eternal God Body has 4 major methods. Green Leaf Glow is a defensive method, Earth Spike is an offensive method, and the equally powerful Void Earth Fissure is a speed method, and the final move Earth Collapse is a critical strike method. I wonder if Yi Chun has successfully cultivated all these 4 methods. If he has perfected them all, then the first divine pattern, Earth Divine Pattern, of the ancient undying divine body, would be completely cultivated, and that would be terrifying. In that case, I am probably the only one among the present crowd who could battle with Yi Chun. While Bai Chun was contemplating in his mind whether to step out and challenge Yi Chen, another person stood up and issued a challenge to Yi Chun. This person's ranking has even increased to the 13th place in terms of combat power in the slaughter field among lower Heavenly Divine Venerables. This person is none other than the notorious youngest of the 3 brothers of the Murong clan in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable combat power slaughter field, Murong Ao. Not only did Murong Ao stand out, but even the number 1 and number 9 ranked eldest brother, Murong Bo, and the second brother, Murong Fong, among the 3 brothers of the Murong clan, were somewhat excited. As Murong Ao stood up, he directly said to Yi Chun, "Yi Chun, you have actually cultivated the Eternal God Body. Impressive, impressive. Our master always said that our divine body skills are no match for the Eternal God Body. Since you have cultivated such a divine body, we must fight you to see if we are truly inferior to you." Murong Ao's elder brothers Murong Bo and Murong Fong also spoke up. "If the youngest can't do it, we will also take up the fight." Seeing that the ranks 5th, 9th, and 13th 3 brothers of the Murong clan were all challenging him, Yi Chun also raised his voice and laughed. "Good. I was also thinking of properly testing the real power of my divine body skills. I accept the challenges from all 3 of you." With Murong Ao's challenge beginning, Yi Chen's 107th battle in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable combat power slaughter field also finally commenced. Murong Ao's strength in holding the 13th rank in the slaughter field of lower Heavenly Divine Venerable combat power is much stronger than Xiaofeng, who Yi Chun previously fought. He cultivated a divine body called War God Body. This divine body's fighting spirit grows stronger as one battles more, and it can even combine with true Qi technique and divine soul skills to form a type of divine body armor and a killing spear attack consisting of essence, Qi, and spirit. However, what surprised the spectators was that this time, the speed at which Yi Chun defeated Murong Ao was even quicker than when he defeated the 23rd ranked Qin Feng. It took just a dozen breaths before Yi Chun directly eliminated Murong Ao from the competition. The reason Yi Chun did not test moves and fully burst out like he did when defeating Qin Feng is that he had also previously seen the War God Body divine body skills that Murong Ao deployed. This set of divine body was one of the several options left to him by Long Li at the beginning. At that time, Yi Chun had compared the War God Body with the Eternal God Body and ultimately abandoned the weaker War God Body and chose the Eternal God Body to cultivate. Knowing the War God Body very well, Yi Chun certainly did not wish to waste time with Murong Ao. This Murong Ao had only cultivated the War God Body to the minor accomplishment stage. Even if he launched an attack on Yi Chun together with his true Qi technique and divine soul skills, he was no match for Yi Chun. After defeating Murong Ao, Yi Chen's record of victories reached 107 consecutive wins, and it didn't stop there. Indeed, As the three brothers of the Murong clan had previously stated, after one falls, the others would continue to challenge. After the 13th-ranked Murong Ao was defeated by Yi Chun, the 9th-ranked Murong Fong and the 5th-ranked Murong Bo also consecutively initiated challenges to Yi Chun. Eventually, these two, just like their younger brother, were all defeated by Yi Chun. After defeating the 5th-ranked Murong Bo, Yi Chun's victory streak reached 109 consecutive wins, and the slaughter points accumulated to the astonishing amount of 343 million points. By this time, those defeated by Yi Chun included the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field win rate ranks of the 93rd, 32nd, 23rd, 13th, 9th, and 5th, totaling 6 strong contenders from the top 100. Especially after defeating the 5th-ranked Murong Bo, everyone in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field spectating area was astounded. They had already realized that Yi Chun's combat power was definitely capable of ranking within the top 3 of the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field, and even challenging for the 2nd or 1st place was possible. It was just that Yi Chun had just arrived at the slaughter field and had only fought a little over 100 battles, so his net wins were very few. If he had enough time fighting in the slaughter field, breaking the records of Bai Chun and even bailing Xiao Xiao was not impossible. No way around it. Even the 5th-ranked Murong Bo has fallen, and he fell decisively. There probably isn't anyone in the field who could be a match for Yi Chun. Unexpectedly, within a span of a month, this Yi Chun has become even more formidable. The only one who could still battle with Yi Chun is probably the 2nd-ranked Bai Chun. Shua. All people in the spectator platform had the same thought emerge in their minds, and they unanimously looked towards Bai Chun. At this moment, Bai Chun's expression also turned very serious. Bai Chun hadn't anticipated that the junior god King Yi Chun, whom he had previously looked down on and even wanted to teach a lesson, had become this powerful. At this moment, even he couldn't quite grasp Yi Chun's true limit, unsure if he could defeat Yi Chun. Of course, with all eyes on him at this moment, Bai Chun certainly wouldn't back down. Seeing that everyone was looking forward to his battle, Bai Chun smiled and stood up from the spectator seats. 109 consecutive victories. Bai Chun clapped towards Yi Chun, a lower god king, possessing the combat power of a lower Heavenly Divine Venerable, and yet reaching such a level at this stage of power. Indeed, this is quite unexpected. However, Yi Chun, your streak of 109 consecutive victories is about to end. Because I, Bai Chun, am entering the arena. Boom! As Bai Chun spoke, he took a step and appeared in the void. His gaze was directly fixed on Yi Chun, who was still on the number 8 arena, as a powerful fighting intent began to surge within him. Even though Bai Chun couldn't see where Yi Chun's limit was, as the 2nd-ranked character in combat power of the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable in the slaughter field, Bai Chun certainly wouldn't be afraid of Yi Chun. Yi Chun had his techniques, but Bai Chun also had powerful techniques of his own. As he prepared to challenge Yi Chun, Bai Chun displayed his imposing aura. Dominating the opponent with absolute presence has always been Bai Chun's usual method. Even in the void, Bai Chun looked down at Yi Chun and directly said, "You just fought consecutively in 5 battles. Your divine power must have depleted considerably. Don't say that I, Bai Chun, am bullying you. Yi Chun, you meditate and recuperate. Wait until all your divine power is restored. Then I will fight you. Don't say that your divine power was depleted after I defeat you. I, Bai Chun, won't take such an advantage. Of course, even if your combat power is fully restored, if I say I can defeat you, then I will absolutely defeat you." Bai Chun's voice echoed throughout the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field, eliciting cheers and screams from many martial artists. Brother Bai Chun is making a move. Handsome, so handsome. When the 3 brothers of the Murong clan challenged Yi Chun earlier, they didn't have much confidence, but look, how confident Brother Bai Chun is. Brother Bai Chun is the 2nd highest in win rate, of course he is confident. Brother Bai Chun's net victories have won over 5,000 matches. He is only 2nd to bailing Xiao Xiao in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field. Even if Yi Chun could defeat Murong Bo, He definitely wouldn't dare to be arrogant in front of Brother Bai Chun. With Brother Bai Chun in the field, who dares to compete? Many people already stood up in excitement. They wanted to see, in the upcoming pinnacle battle between Bai Chun, ranked second, and the dark horse Yi Chun, who would emerge as the true winner. Hearing Bai Chen's words, Yi Chun also instantly flew to the void of the number 8 arena, facing Bai Chun in the void above the spectator platform. Yi Chun, of course, would not be overwhelmed by Bai Chen's aura. He shook his head with a smile and directly said to Bai Chun, "In the previous battles, I did not consume any divine power. Feel free to challenge me if you wish. You are not yet the target I wish to fight against, so my winning streak will not end by your hand." Whoosh! As Yi Chen's words fell, the entire spectator area erupted. Everyone could see that even when facing Bai Chun, who was ranked second, Yi Chun showed no signs of weakness. Yi Chun said Bai Chun is not his intended target. Could it be that the person Yi Chun truly respects is only Bailing Xiao, who ranks first? He also said Bai Chun cannot end his winning streak. Could it be this Yi Chun is confident he can beat Brother Bai Chun too? Tit for tat. Everyone was shaken in their hearts. Bai Chun wanted to press Yi Chun with his aura, but Yi Chun was equally unyielding and confronted Bai Chun directly. To decide who wins and who loses, they could only rely on battle. Hearing Yi Chen's words, Bai Chun no longer hesitated. He smiled coldly. "Yi Chun, since you claim your divine power isn't depleted, then don't say I took advantage of you after you lose. You want to continue your winning streak, but I am determined to end it. Talk is cheap. Let's see the truth beneath our hands." Bai Chun directly issued a challenge to Yi Chun from his slaughter token, and Yi Chun also directly accepted Bai Chen's challenge. Instantly, both of them moved from the spectator platform and the arena's void, transitioning to facing each other in the void above the number 8 arena. The next moment, Bai Chen's vast divine power burst forth wildly, transforming into a towering flame soaring thousands of feet high. Chapter 866 Bailing Xiao arrives. In the terrifying divine power flames tens of thousands of feet high, Bai Chun stands, resembling the master of void heaven. He did not, like Xiao Feng and the 3 brothers of the Murong clan, confront Yi Chen's eternal god body with the strongest divine body skills. What Bai Chun is best at is activating the mysterious heavenly divine artifact treasure. As the vast divine power surged forth, a small, fiery red flying knife appeared directly in front of Bai Chun. This small flying knife, only the size of a palm, trembled lightly under the surging aura of Bai Chen's divine power, continuously slashing through the void in front of him. Void Heavenly Slaying Blade. This flying knife, immensely famous, was a top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact passed to him by one of Bai Chen's elders. After activating the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade, the next moment, Bai Chun pointed his finger, and the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade, as if it had a life and sentience of its own, burst forth towards Yi Chun. And Yi Chun, in an instant, disappeared from the void where he had been standing. The next moment, terrifying divine patterns of light, resembling earth fissures, appeared in every part of the arena's void. Yi Chen's figure immediately floated out from these earth fissures, appearing right in front of Bai Chun. At this moment, another shadow of the flying knife burst forth in front of Bai Chun. Strikingly, it was the previously launched Void Heavenly Slaying Blade. Yi Chen's speed was terrifyingly fast. The speed of this flying knife was also terrifying. It directly pursued Yi Chun again. Seeing this, Yi Chun did not directly attack Bai Chun, but instead tried to compete with the flying knife in speed, his figure once again vanishing into the divine pattern light of the earth fissures in the arena. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Following that, all the spectators witnessed a scene that made their mouths gape open. Yi Chen's figure continuously appeared in various parts of the wide arena, and each time he appeared, Bai Chen's Void Heavenly Slaying Blade instantly arrived, striking at Yi Chun. Following that, Yi Chun disappeared and reappeared again. The flying knife struck at him once more. One person, one knife. The scene was even faster than extreme lightning, casting dazzling trails of light across the entire arena. Fast. Too fast. This is probably already the speed limit that a lower Heavenly Divine Venerable's combat power can achieve. I did not expect Yi Chen's speed to reach such a level. Not even slightly inferior to the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade. Many were deeply shocked in their hearts. It's the first divine pattern of the Eternal God Body, the Earth Divine Pattern, and its speed skill, the Void Earth Fisher. We did not realize when Yi Chen fought against us before that he had not used this tactic. The three brothers of the Murong clan on the spectator platform, each of them was astounded. When they were earlier defeated by Yi Chen, he had only used the Earth Divine Pattern's attack and defense skills, without using any speed skills. And just like that, he had defeated the three of them. Now seeing Yi Chen revealing a new skill, how could they not be profoundly shaken? Clearly, Yi Chen's strength was much stronger than when they first fought against him. However, although the Void Earth Fisher skill is fast enough, the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade is also extraordinarily fast. Under these circumstances, it's difficult for Yi Chen to launch an attack against Bai Chun. Could it be that they will just keep chasing each other like this? Murong Bo, ranked 5th in win rate, muttered while watching the constantly flashing lights on the 8th arena. At this moment, Bai Chun in the void of the arena, watching Yi Chen being relentlessly chased by the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade and unable to attack him, a cold smile appeared on his face. Having known that you possess the Earth Divine Venerable skill of the Eternal God Body, I was prepared. I want to see how you can successfully attack me under the interference of my Void Heavenly Slaying Blade. If you dare to attack me despite the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade, it will definitely break through your defense and eliminate you. While Bai Chun was feeling pleased with himself, he suddenly heard Yi Chen's voice by his ear. Not bad. Not bad. This top-tier mysterious Heavenly Divine Artifact level flying knife is indeed interesting. It seems I have to use my own top-tier mysterious Heavenly Divine Artifact as well. Upon hearing Yi Chen's words, Bai Chun was stunned. Does this junior god king Yi Chen also possess a top-tier mysterious Heavenly Divine Artifact? While he was still in a daze, the next moment, he saw Yi Chen's figure appear directly, confidently walking in the void. Even as the Void Heavenly Slaying Blade found and struck at Yi Chen, he no longer concealed his form. Following that, Bai Chun saw that Yi Chen's body suddenly burst forth with an extremely blinding light. Within the light, a gourd-shaped treasure appeared directly in front of Yi Chen, and from within the gourd, dozens of flying swords were released. It's those flying swords. Bai Chen's heart suddenly burst with a cold sneer. These flying swords, which Yi Chen used during his first visit to the slaughter field, were only capable of suppressing those with much lower win rates. Trying to use these flying swords to block my Void Heavenly Slaying Blade? Dream on. Bai Chun had watched the battle screen footage of Yi Chen in the slaughter field given to him before, and had already seen Yi Chen's flying swords. Such combat power of flying swords was truly negligible in Bai Chen's eyes. Thus, when he saw Yi Chen taking out the flying swords now, he didn't care at all. However, in the next moment, Bai Chen's eyes suddenly widened. Bai Chun found that the dozens of flying swords activated by Yi Chen merged into a storm that strangled everything, colliding head-on with his Void Heavenly Slaying Blade. And with this collision, his Void Heavenly Slaying Blade and those flying swords were both knocked back simultaneously. The two mysterious Heavenly Divine Artifacts were evenly matched, with neither gaining the upper hand. How is this possible? Bai Chun was greatly shocked. He had seen the killing force of Yi Chen's flying swords before, and it was definitely not at this level. What Bai Chun did not know was that when Yi Chen first used the flying swords in the slaughter field, he hadn't undergone a month of rigorous training and had not truly specialized in the mysterious Spirit Thousand sword skills, corresponded to the gourd sword. Now, after a month of hard training in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, Yi Chen's Eternal God Body had made great gains, and the power of the gourd sword had also greatly enhanced. Gourd sword, a top-tier mysterious Heavenly Divine Artifact given to Yi Chen by Huyen Divine Master, after mastering some spells of the mysterious Spirit Thousand sword skills. Yi Chun naturally did not fear the void heavenly slaying blade. Using the dozens of flying swords from the gourd sword to repel the void heavenly slaying blade, Yi Chun pointed his finger, and the dozens of flying swords struck towards the void heavenly slaying blade once more. At the same time, Yi Chun flashed and his body appeared in front of Bai Chun, directly reaching out a large hand to grasp Bai Chun in the air. As a person ranked second in the winning ratio among the combatants with lower heavenly divine venerable strength in the slaughter field, Bai Chun certainly had more techniques than just the void heavenly slaying blade. While the void heavenly slaying blade got entangled by Yi Chen's flying swords, seeing Yi Chen's body grasping towards him, Bai Chun flashed in the void, directly dodging Yi Chen's attack. At the same time, he pinched a spell in his hand and a purple flying dagger appeared in front of him. Although this flying dagger was not as good as the void heavenly slaying blade, in terms of top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact, it was still an upper-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact dagger. Once this dagger appeared, it instantly turned into thousands of blades of light, surrounding Bai Chen's entire body. And then, Bai Chun emitted an extremely fierce aura of killing force, counterattacking towards Yi Chun. Seeing Bai Chun daring to attack him proactively, Yi Chun also smiled. Without dodging, he reached out a big hand, and endless earth spike divine patterns appeared in the void around him. Earth divine patterns, attack technique, earth spike attack. Yi Chun directly used the earth spike attack, striking towards Bai Chun who was surrounded and attacked by the purple flying dagger. Bang! 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 Following this, the flying dagger on Bai Chen's body and the vast divine power collided with Yi Chen's divine body strength of the earth spike, creating a loud explosion. Amidst the explosions of divine power, both were knocked back, and in the next moment, they clashed again. The entire number 8 slaughter arena was now a scene of extreme intensity. On one side, the continuous combat between the void heavenly slaying blade and the gourd sword flying swords. On the other side, it was a confrontation between Yi Chun himself and Bai Chun. Under the stimulation of both strong fighters' techniques and their divine power impacts, it formed an indistinguishable intense situation at the arena. In this intense situation, both parties had launched hundreds of attacks in an instant. This made the martial artists below also hold their breaths. Peak battle. Truly a peak battle. Unexpectedly, Yi Chun and Bai Chun could fight to such an extent. The last time I saw such an intense duel was when Bailing Xiao Xiao took action. Many people exclaimed in shock in their hearts. While these people were extremely excited watching the battle, they didn't notice that a figure had appeared at the corner of the spectator platform of the slaughter arena for those with lower heavenly divine venerable strength. This figure was none other than Bailing Xiao Xiao, who ranked first in the winning ratio at the slaughter field for the lower heavenly divine venerable strength. In the midst of the grand battle between Yi Chun and Bai Chun, Bailing Xiao Xiao had arrived quietly. And what everyone else didn't notice was that as soon as Bailing Xiao Xiao appeared, although she concealed her figure from everyone, she had a sound transmission directly into Yi Chen's ears. Yi Chun, you haven't yet used your full strength against Bai Chun. If you want to fight with me, defeat Bai Chun within 10 breaths. The moment this voice entered Yi Chen's ears, it made his heart tremble. Bailing Xiao Xiao? Yi Chun directly looked towards the white-clothed woman hidden in the void. Seeing the woman nod slightly towards him, Yi Chun smiled. Since Bailing Xiao Xiao has arrived, let's end this battle. Boom! In an instant, Yi Chun, who was evenly matched with Bai Chun, suddenly exploded dozens more flying swords from his body, directly slaughtering towards Bai Chun. They were still the flying swords from the gourd sword. The dozens of flying swords tussling with the void heavenly slaying blade were certainly not the limit of the 1001 flying swords Yi Chun controlled of the gourd sword. Now, wanting to fight with Bailing Xiao Xiao, Yi Chun directly increased the number of the flying swords he manipulated to 108. Chapter 867 – The Top-Ranked Battle. 108 flying swords struck simultaneously, 43 of which were battling against the void heavenly slaying blade, while the remaining 65, together with Yi Chen's eternal god body technique, blasted towards Bai Chun. In an instant, Bai Chun, who had been evenly matched with Yi Chun, was completely overwhelmed. Bai Chun was forced into retreat time and again by the eternal god body's earth spike and the 65 flying swords, and at the same time, his mind and spirit were shocked to the extreme. He had never imagined that Yi Chun was concealing so many flying swords without using them. The reason Yi Chun had been fighting on par with him was actually because he was still holding back his strength. Now that Yi Chun was no longer holding back, he was thoroughly unable to resist. In his panic, Bai Chun quickly retracted the void heavenly slaying blade, switching to a defensive stance. However, even with a full defense, he only lasted 4 moves before being directly defeated by Yi Chun, eliminated from the number 8 slaughter arena. Until his defeat, even as 50 million slaughter points were deducted from his slaughter token, disbelief was still evident in Bai Chen's eyes. Not just Bai Chen. At that moment, countless people in the lower, heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field spectating area equally couldn't believe their eyes. They had not anticipated that what was originally a battle of equals would suddenly become a one-sided fight. Yet again, it was Yi Chun who had the last laugh. How could Yi Chun have so many flying swords? And each of his flying swords is of a quality that doesn't fall short of the void heavenly slaying blade. Bai Chen's void heavenly slaying blade is an ultimate mysterious heavenly divine artifact. Could it be that each of Yi Chen's flying swords is also an ultimate mysterious heavenly divine artifact? My God! To collect so many flying swords of ultimate mysterious heavenly divine artifact level, it's simply unbelievable. All these ultimate mysterious heavenly divine artifact level flying swords combined could probably be called the strongest divine weapon right below the ultimate heavenly artifact. Now, after Bai Chun was defeated, Yi Chun grasped with a big hand and all 108 flying swords he had unleashed shot back to his side, hovering in the void in front of him. Looking at the 108 flying swords in front of Yi Chun, numerous martial artists were inwardly shaken. And it wasn't just the flying swords that caused their shock. There was also Yi Chen's eternal god body. Yi Chen's flying sword skills are unimaginable, and his eternal god body is equally incredible. He has now displayed 3 kinds of techniques from the Earth Divine Pattern, which is one of the 5 great divine patterns of the eternal god body: offensive, defensive, and speed techniques. It's unknown whether he has mastered the 4th technique of the Earth Divine Pattern, the critical strike technique. It's a pity that even Bai Chun was defeated, and no one else could continue to push Yi Chun to his true limits, unless Bailing Xiaoxiao arrives. The martial artists in the spectating area were all lamenting, but they knew that their lamentations were useless, as they had already observed that among the experts who came to challenge Yi Chun, there was no sign of Bailing Xiaoxiao. Could it be that once again, Yi Chun is going to leave undefeated? After defeating Bai Chun, who ranked 2nd, Yi Chun now has a streak of 110 consecutive victories. His slaughter points have increased to a total of 393 million. Just when everyone thought that Yi Chun had defeated all challengers and was about to leave the number 8 arena and conclude the competition, they saw that Yi Chun didn't step down from the number 8 arena. Instead, he turned to face a corner of the spectating area's void and said aloud, "Bai Chun has been defeated by me. Bailing Xiaoxiao, it's your turn now." Upon hearing Yi Chen's words, everyone was stunned. Bailing Xiaoxiao? Was Yi Chun speaking to Bailing Xiaoxiao? When did Bailing Xiaoxiao arrive at the slaughter field? As the martial artists in the spectating area were still in shock, the next moment, they saw that indeed, in the corner of the spectating area's void where Yi Chun was looking, a figure of a woman in white emerged. It was the figure of Bailing Xiaoxiao. Simultaneously, everyone looked down at their own slaughter tokens. And indeed, they saw in the slaughter ranking, which had long been without the presence of Bailing Xiaoxiao, her name listed. First place in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, Bailing Xiaoxiao, with 13,324 victories and 56 defeats. Bailing Xiaoxiao, the top figure of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, had finally arrived. Boom! The next moment, everyone saw that Bailing Xiaoxiao directly issued a challenge to Yi Chun. And Yi Chun, in turn, accepted Bailing Xiaoxiao's challenge straight away. Bailing Xiaoxiao swiftly moved, using instantaneous movement to appear right above the number 8 arena, facing Yi Chun, who stood in the void. Bailing Xiaoxiao then spoke to Yi Chun. Yi Chun, you were indeed holding back your strength. I just told you not to hold back, to defeat Bai Chun within 10 breaths. Yet you took only 3 breaths to defeat him. It seems that your true ultimate strength is beyond my expectations. The words of Bailing Xiaoxiao astonished all the martial artists in the spectating area. What? The reason why Yi Chun erupted in an instant and defeated Bai Chun was because after talking with Bailing Xiaoxiao, he no longer held back his strength? When did these two great experts talk? The martial artists had not seen Bailing Xiaoxiao and Yi Chun converse at all. Keep in mind, Yi Chun was battling Bai Chun just moments ago. In such a situation, how could Yi Chun still have discovered Bailing Xiaoxiao, whom everyone else had failed to notice, and even managed to engage in conversation with her? Indeed, he is worthy of the man who defeated Bai Chun. This tactic once again astonished everyone present. Not only were the spectating martial artists shocked, but even Bai Chun, who had just been defeated by Yi Chun and fell to the elimination area, had his mind thundering. So it was because Bailing Xiaoxiao arrived that Yi Chun no longer wished to waste time with me and thus defeated me. Upon realizing this, Bai Chun felt utterly unwell in his heart. He had originally thought that his strength was on par with Yi Chen's, and he even believed there was a possibility of defeating Yi Chun. But it turned out that he had greatly overestimated himself. Boom! While everyone in the audience had their own thoughts, on the number 8 arena, Yi Chun, facing Bailing Xiaoxiao, revealed true battle intent in his eyes for the first time. Bailing Xiaoxiao, the rumors of you being a legend in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field with over 10,000 victories and barely 50 losses are indeed terrifyingly strong. I hope that in our upcoming battle, your top-ranked combat power will truly impress me. Yi Chen's gaze surged with battle intent. He sensed that Bailing Xiaoxiao might not be someone he could easily defeat. Yi Chen yearned to witness Bailing Xiaoxiao's truly powerful tactics, in order to enhance his own martial arts comprehension. Bailing Xiaoxiao, looking towards Yi Chun, shared a solemn gaze. Yi Chun, it has been a long while since I have taken the initiative to challenge someone. You are the only one I've actively challenged since claiming the top victory rate in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field. I too hope that your ultimate combat power will force out my own limit. Go ahead, Yi Chun. Defeat me, and you will be recognized as the first person of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field. Boom! After Bailing Xiaoxiao finished speaking, a terrifying aura of divine power burst forth from her body like a storm, swirling and surging upward tens of thousands of feet in just moments. What's more divine is that Bailing Xiaoxiao's aura exhibited the color of a dazzling blue sea, in which flashed specks of golden light. Clearly, just from the aura of the divine power, one could see that the divine power Bailing Xiaoxiao cultivated was unlike that of ordinary people. Not just Bailing Xiaoxiao's divine power was out of the ordinary. Once Bailing Xiaoxiao drove her divine power forth, on the other side, Yi Chun stood in the void, likewise activating his Tai divine power. Facing Bailing Xiaoxiao, of whom he was not certain he could defeat, Yi Chun too showcased his real tactics. When the Tai divine power, swirling with the divine and unique black and white colors, soared up tens of thousands of feet high and became visible to everyone, countless people in the venue once again widened their eyes in shock. This was the first time they saw Yi Chun fully display the colors of the Tai divine power. Previously, even when Yi Chun activated the Tai divine power, he would disguise its true colors. Now, suddenly seeing the intertwining black and white divine power colors, a myriad of spectators were stunned. They had never seen divine power of black and white shades before, and simply from the color of the divine power, one could see that Yi Chen's divine power appeared even more divine than Bailing Xiaoxiao's. At this time, Bailing Xiaoxiao's gaze was also trembling. She too could see that Yi Chen's divine power was out of the ordinary. It should be noted that her true realm is that of a Middle-earth divine venerable realm, while Yi Chun is a lower god king. Although both have the combat power of lower heavenly divine venerables in terms of realm, she had the advantage over Yi Chun. Under such circumstances, logically speaking, her divine power should be stronger than Yi Chen's. But now, Bailing Xiaoxiao felt that Yi Chen's divine power was not the slightest bit weaker than hers. It seems that what comes next will indeed be a tough battle. The more she felt the pressure, the more excited Bailing Xiaoxiao became. She had not faced a worthy opponent in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field for a long time and longed for a strong adversary. After a quick turn of her mind and spirit, in the next moment, Bailing Xiaoxiao's fair fingers violently pinched a spell, and her original body instantly transformed into hundreds of identical figures. Every one of these figures bore a blue battle armor, and each emitted a terrifying giant dragon shadow thousands of feet long. The hundreds of 1,000-foot-long dragon shadows roared to the skies, unleashing endless killing force that shook the void and then hurled towards Yi Chun, who was surrounded at the center. Heavenly Dragon Battle Body. This is the most powerful among the 3 divine bodies cultivated by Bailing Xiaoxiao. She usually uses this battle body only at the end, but now she's brought it out in her first attack. In the spectating area, seeing Bailing Xiaoxiao's move, countless people stood up, brimming with excitement. They knew that they were about to witness a great battle between the first and second-ranked individuals in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field. Who truly holds the title of the first? This battle will directly determine the answer. Chapter 868 True Limit. Under the gaze of countless eyes, the heavenly dragon battle body, driven by Bailing Xiaoxiao, unleashed the formidable shadows of hundreds of dragons, thousands of meters in length, that finally struck down in front of Yi Chun. Then, everyone saw that once again, leaf-shaped divine patterns emerged around Yi Chen's body. This was decidedly the defensive maneuver of the Earth Divine Pattern. The green leaf glow. Faced with Bailing Xiaoxiao's terrifying attack, Yi Chun once again deployed the Earth Divine Pattern defensive skills of the Eternal God Body. Boom! 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 Then, everyone witnessed the shadows of the hundreds of immense dragons driven by Bailing Xiaoxiao all crashing into the green leaf protective divine light surrounding Yi Chun. The thunderous explosion rang out instantly, vibrating the eardrums of all the warriors in the spectator area. But everyone was no longer concerned with the dreadful roaring sound. Their eyes widened, all staring at Yi Chun amidst the tumultuous noise of the explosion. They all wanted to know if Yi Chen's defensive measures could withstand the attack from Bailing Xiaoxiao. When the airwaves and divine light dissipated, everyone saw that at the very center of the fearsome explosion, Yi Chun still stood proudly upright. Yi Chun had blocked it. Under the assault of Bailing Xiaoxiao's heavenly dragon battle body, Yi Chun had managed to withstand the attack using the Eternal God Body, without his defenses being breached. The Eternal God Body is indeed extremely powerful, truly worthy of the legend that even great beings among the divine venerables find it difficult to cultivate. Just this first Earth Divine Pattern defensive measure alone is so strong. Feelings of admiration arose in countless people. At this time, Bailing Xiaoxiao's expression did not change in the slightest. Bailing Xiaoxiao certainly knew that she could not breach Yi Chen's defenses with a single move, and she was well prepared for this. After the ineffective strike, the hundreds of identical clones conjured by Bailing Xiaoxiao's true body did not pause for a moment before launching another attack. This time, every body clad in a green battle armor unleashed another terrifying dragon-shaped light. In an instant, hundreds more dreadful dragon-shaped shadows, exuding an even more potent killing force than before, blasted towards Yi Chun once again. It seemed that Bailing Xiaoxiao was not giving Yi Chun any chance to catch his breath, continuously bombarding him with dragon strikes with the intention of depleting his defensive power. But how could Yi Chun let her have her way? How could he continue to be passively struck? Boom! 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 After blocking the dragon strike once more, Yi Chun immediately utilized the speed skill of the Earth Divine Pattern, the Void Earth Fisher, and his figure vanished in an instant from the slaughter arena. The next moment, when Yi Chun reappeared, he had already arrived directly in front of Bailing Xiaoxiao. Yi Chun slapped out with a hand, and a terrifying attack ensued, causing the very void in front of Bailing Xiao to collapse. This collapse of the void was even compressed in one place, creating a fearsome power akin to a meteor-like force of void rupture, hurtling directly in front of Bailing Xiao. This force of impact was even stronger than Yi Chen's previous Eternal God Body Earth Divine Pattern Attack maneuver, the Earth Spike. What he used was a technique Yi Chen had not deployed before, the fourth kind of Eternal God Body Earth Divine Pattern technique. Also is known as the most dreadful in attack power, the Critical Strike Earth Collapse. Earth Spike has a broader attack range but lacks focused power. However, Earth Collapse can concentrate power into a very small area, releasing a wild and mighty blow. Rumor has it that once the Earth Divine Pattern Critical Strike Earth Collapse is deployed, even piercing through an ordinary star is extremely easy. Even if Arena 8 has been specially refined by powers of the Sovereign Realm, making it billions of times more robust than the usual star continent, and cannot be directly shattered, the power emanating from the void during Yi Chen's Critical Strike Earth Collapse still caused an uproar of force that smashes everything, directed entirely at Bailing Xiao at the center. Upon seeing this move, many warriors familiar with the Eternal God Body exclaimed, "The Critical Strike! It's the Earth Divine Pattern Critical Strike!" Yi Chen has indeed successfully cultivated this technique. He has mastered all four major skills of the Earth Divine Pattern. These people could not help but be astonished. Previously, in Yi Chen's battles, they had already witnessed the Earth Divine Pattern defense skill, Green Leaf Glow, the attack skill, Earth Spike, and the speed skill, Void Earth Fissure. At that time, they wondered if Yi Chen had mastered the final critical strike skill of the Earth Divine Pattern. Regrettably, even Bai Chen was defeated at the hands of Yi Chen, and no one could force Yi Chen to use more techniques. Now, seeing that Yi Chen had used the critical strike against Bailing Xiao, the multitude of warriors were both thrilled and staggered. The thrill came from finally witnessing the terrible power of the Eternal God Body, Earth Divine Patterns, Critical Strike. The shock was that Yi Chen had actually succeeded in cultivating all four major skills of the Earth Divine Pattern. Wasn't it rumored that the Eternal God Body was very difficult to cultivate? How could Yi Chen master the first kind of divine pattern to such an extent? Above the arena, Bailing Xiao, feeling the assault of Yi Chen's Earth Collapse Critical Strike technique, also had a drastic change in her expression. With a pinch of her finger, whoosh 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 whoosh. In almost an instant, the hundreds of figures she had conjured all returned to her true body, and at the same time, a blindingly bright battle armor emerged upon Bailing Xiao's delicate body. With a solemn demeanor, Bailing Xiao unleashed a dazzling green light from her armor, and within that light, she threw a punch to meet the oncoming force of the Earth Collapse. In a flash, it was visible. In the void, Yi Chen and Bailing Xiao, where their palm and punch met, two unbelievable powers collided with each other. In the midst of the collision, Bailing Xiao radiated a heaven-reaching glow, her hair growing dozens of feet longer, billowing behind her with the explosive gusts of wind. Moreover, on Bailing Xiao's delicate body, a gigantic divine dragon shadow, tens of thousands of feet tall, roared skyward. Bailing Xiao exerted all her strength to withstand Yi Chen's attack, not retreating an inch, even blasting back at Yi Chen. On the other side, Yi Chen, too, did not retreat. As divine power surged through his palms, Yi Chen continuously intensified the Earth Collapse Critical Strike technique, incessantly hammering his endless power towards the opposing Bailing Xiao, his clothes and black hair fluttering amid the explosive shockwaves. Both great fighters attacked with all their might. They knew that whoever could not withstand the assault might be blasted out of the arena by the opponent in the next moment, to be eliminated and defeated. In such circumstances, neither stepped back, but the forces they unleashed diffused from the center of their confrontation, spreading across the entire slaughter arena. In the end, as the ferocious powers could not disperse from the slaughter arena, they all hammered against the protective prohibition outside the arena. Boom! 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 Within the bombardment of these two great powers, the protection prohibition patterns clearly emerged outside the 8th slaughter arena. These were none other than the protection prohibition patterns left by sovereign realm powerhouses when they forged the slaughter arena. No one had ever caused these protective prohibition patterns to appear. Now, in the clash between the two formidable fighters, Yi Chun and Bailing Xiaoxiao, all protective prohibition patterns around the arena were displayed. Terrifying. Far too terrifying. We thought the battle between Yi Chun and Bai Chun was a pinnacle fight. Now it seems, the battle between Yi Chun and Bailing Xiaoxiao is the true pinnacle fight. Only the power of both parties reaching the very limits of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power level could cause all the protection prohibition patterns of the slaughter arena to emerge. Their powers are simply much stronger than everyone else's. What to do? If the two continue this intense contest, could it be that they will fight until one side's power is exhausted before this intensity stops? Just as the audience in the viewing area thought that the two would continue to pit their divine bodies against each other until they were drained, Yi Chun and Bailing Xiaoxiao, who were directly confronting each other in the void, shared a glance and, without prior agreement, simultaneously withdrew the divine powers that filled the entire slaughter arena. In an instant, the turbulent slaughter arena once again calmed down. Bailing Xiaoxiao looked towards Yi Chun and said, "Yi Chun, your eternal god body is more formidable than my heavenly dragon battle body. But you have only cultivated the eternal god body to the first divine pattern, while I have achieved great accomplishment with my heavenly dragon battle body. Under these circumstances, neither of us can overcome the other. Now, let's not just contend with divine body strength. Let's put all our techniques on the table." On the other side, Yi Chun also smiled. "That's exactly what I intend." Boom! As their words fell, the eighth slaughter arena, which had just quieted down for a few moments, once again became stormy. This time, what they both unleashed was not just divine body strength. Bailing Xiaoxiao directly summoned one of her life-bound treasures, a pristine little bottle. The moment the bottle appeared, a fearsome white mist burst from the mouth of the bottle, instantly enveloping the entire slaughter arena within the mist. Simultaneously, Yi Chun also drove out his gourd sword once more. Amid the continuous surge of the gourd sword's divine light, the mist sweeping towards Yi Chun was also constantly dispersed. And in the next moment, within the mist that filled the entire slaughter arena, water droplets began to condense. The droplets that formed immediately darted towards Yi Chun's flying swords. Clang, 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 clang. In an instant, the sound of the flying swords colliding with the water droplets thundered throughout the entire lower heavenly god combat power slaughter field. The mist continued to pour endlessly from the pristine little bottle, the droplets it condensed growing more numerous and powerful. Meanwhile, the flying swords Yi Chun unleashed to counter the droplets were also increasing, from dozens to the 108 that had defeated Bai Chun, and finally even reaching 186 in number. The two magical treasures contended, even more terrifying than the previous clash of their divine body skills, turning the entire slaughter arena into a whirl of divine light and howling killing force. Chapter 869 Trembling and Defeat. Seeing Yi Chun's flying swords increase in number to a total of 186, the martial artists in the spectator area were once again astonished. They had not expected that the 108 flying swords Yi Chun previously unleashed to defeat Bai Chun were not his limit, still having more flying swords he had not used. Now, even with 186 flying swords, these martial artists could tell that it still did not seem to be the limit of the flying swords at Yi Chun's disposal. Meanwhile, the white bottle wielded by Bailing Xiaoxiao was equally surprising to the countless martial artists in the arena. What kind of treasure is this white bottle? And how do the water droplets formed by the mist inside manage to clash with Yi Chun's top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact-level flying swords? Bailing Xiaoxiao has fought in over 10,000 battles in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, but never have we seen her use this treasure. Only a woman in yellow, standing in a corner of the spectator area, revealed a knowing expression in her beautiful eyes upon seeing Bailing Xiaoxiao's white bottle. Xiaoxiao has finally decided to bring out that treasure. It seems she is truly intent on contending with Yi Chun, determined to win this battle. Otherwise, she wouldn't have possibly brought out this treasure. This heavenly mist Zuambo bottle is already terrifying on the level of a top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact. What's more frightening is what Xiao Xiao has infused onto the bottle herself. If Xiao Xiao ultimately unleashes that thing, Yi Chun is doomed to be defeated without a doubt. I really wonder whether Yi Chun can push Xiao Xiao to use that thing in the end. The woman in yellow looked towards the white bottle wielded by Bailing Xiao Xiao, with a mix of anticipation and fear in her gaze. Above the slaughter arena, as Yi Chun and Bailing Xiao Xiao unleashed their treasures, Yi Chen's 108 flying swords clashed incessantly with the water droplets formed by the mist of the white bottle, while at the same time, Yi Chen's figure also continuously attacked Bailing Xiao Xiao's true body. Both were not only wielding their treasures in battle, but also personally engaged in combat. In less than a moment, across the 10,000 zhang expanse of the slaughter arena, the mist from Bailing Xiao Xiao's white bottle had become like a raging river, and the released water droplets multiplied many times over, becoming even more densely packed than before. Meanwhile, Yi Chen's controlled flying swords also reached the maximum number he could manage at this moment. 223 flying swords. The divine light of water droplets exploded, and the sword light of the flying swords flickered endlessly. Amidst the divine light of both great treasures, there were also the glimmers of combat from Yi Chun and Bailing Xiao Xiao's divine bodies, and even the surge of their true qi power and divine soul power. Employing their physical skills, true qi techniques, and divine soul attack methods, both unleashed their variety of powerful techniques rooted in their essence, qi, and spirit to settle their scores. The more they fought, the more shocked both became. Yi Chen hadn't expected Bailing Xiao Xiao's true strength to be even greater than he had imagined. Bailing Xiao Xiao's combat experience, as well as the proficiency in utilizing the techniques of essence, qi, and spirit, far surpassed his own. This Bailing Xiao Xiao, worthy of being the contender who ranks first in victory rate within the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, is truly deserving of leaving the second-ranked Bai Chun far behind. Yi Chun felt that if Bailing Xiao Xiao advanced another level in her realm, her combat prowess could leap dramatically to the level of a Middle-earth god, or even a superior heavenly divine venerable. While Yi Chun was amazed, Bailing Xiao Xiao was equally astonished. Bailing Xiao Xiao also had not expected that, despite deploying all of her techniques, she still couldn't get the upper hand over Yi Chun. Especially her top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifact level heavenly mist Zuambo bottle, a treasure passed down to her by her great-grandfather, which she had cultivated for a long time and feared no other top-tier mysterious heavenly divine artifacts. Yet, it seemed ineffective against Yi Chen's flying swords. After all, Yi Chun was of a much lower realm than she was. Truly speaking, although the battle was evenly matched, it essentially meant she was on the losing side. After all, Yi Chen at the God King realm level could match her, currently at the Middle Earth God Divine Venerable realm in combat strength and capability. So once Yi Chun reached the Middle Earth God Divine Venerable realm, he would undoubtedly leave her current combat power far behind in the dust. Yi Chun, fitting to be a youth even Goddess Long Li is fond of, has such unparalleled talent and numerous techniques. However, even though his innate ability surpasses mine, at this current level of combat power, I absolutely must not lose to him. I still have to defend the dignity of ranking first in victory rate in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. Even as her admiration for Yi Chun grew amidst the battle, the pride of the strong kept Bailing Xiao Xiao from giving up. In fact, her resolve to win against Yi Chun only intensified. In an instant, the ferocity of Bailing Xiao Xiao's attacks on Yi Chun multiplied several times over. This increase in her assault's intensity also brought Yi Chun immense pressure, but with it came unparalleled gains. Yi Chun felt that every move Bailing Xiao Xiao made allowed him to substantially enhance his comprehension of combat. It seems that the number of slaughter battles I have engaged in is still not enough. True experience in combat can't compare with someone like Bailing Xiao Xiao, who has fought more than 10,000 battles. Battling such a formidable opponent is the true battle that allows one to progress. Yi Chun, wanting to continuously learn from Bailing Xiao Xiao's combat experience, naturally would not allow himself to be easily defeated. With a surge of Tai divine power within his body, his flying sword skills, divine body skills, and divine soul attack methods were once again fully mobilized. Under the circumstances where neither Yi Chun nor Bailing Xiaoxiao wished to be defeated, their battle grew increasingly intense and rapid. Eventually, all the watching martial artists could only discern countless divine lights flickering over the slaughter arena. However, after the battle raged on for the duration of 2 incense sticks, the 2 combatants still had not determined a victor. Moreover, at this point, both their divine powers were greatly depleted, but Bailing Xiaoxiao's divine power was diminishing even faster in comparison. I can't drag this out any longer. My rate of divine power depletion is even faster than Yi Chen's. He must cultivate a special kind of divine power that recovers much quicker than mine. If this continues, I'll undoubtedly be defeated. I have no choice but to use that move. Bailing Xiaoxiao gritted her teeth, and with a surge of divine power, she sent Yi Chun flying hundreds of feet away. At the same time, Bailing Xiaoxiao pointed her finger towards the continuously erupting pure white bottle. With a booming sound, the originally pure white bottle suddenly revealed a cluster of flaming red patterns. It was as if a fiery red blossom was inlaid onto the surface of the bottle. The moment this fiery red pattern appeared, the substance expelled from the tiny white bottle was no longer mist but became blazing flames that poured forth from the bottle. In the blink of an eye, the entire slaughter arena, with a radius of tens of thousands of feet, turned into a sea of fire. Upon witnessing the transformation of the slaughter arena into a fiery inferno, although the prohibitions protected the arena, leaving it unharmed, countless martial artists in the viewing area gaped in shock, because they could see that the prohibitions around the slaughter arena were trembling continuously under the terrifying burning of the flames. Clearly, the power of these flames was even stronger than the joint attack of Yi Chun and Bailing Xiaoxiao from earlier. In a corner of the viewing area, the woman in yellow clothes who was aware of Bailing Xiaoxiao's white bottle technique, upon seeing the flower-like fire pattern emerge on the bottle and endless flames pouring out, finally sighed. Sister Xiaoxiao has ultimately resorted to using such a thing. Yi Chun is going to be defeated. Defeated? When the pure white bottle underwent its transformation, turning the entire slaughter arena into a sea of endless flames, Yi Chun indeed felt that he was truly on the verge of defeat. What shocked Yi Chun even more was that he recognized what the fiery red blossom-like pattern that appeared on Bailing Xiaoxiao's white bottle was. It was the power of an extreme heavenly object in embryonic form, after being refined into the white bottle. Yi Chun also possessed an embryonic form of an extreme heavenly object. His star blue divine garment was refined from the embryonic form of an extreme heavenly object. However, despite Yi Chen's star blue divine garment undergoing transformation through the thunder lightning power in the lightning cave, it was merely at the level of the earth divine venerable. But now, Yi Chun could sense that Bailing Xiaoxiao's embryonic blossom of an extreme heavenly object was refined to be even stronger than his star blue divine garment. In such a circumstance, although it had not fully transformed into a true extreme heavenly object yet, it was already something that Yi Chun couldn't withstand. Even when Yi Chun recalled all his flying swords, turning the 223 flying swords into an airtight sword shadow barrier, the burning flames were still continuously ripping through the barrier, threatening to burn all the way to him. Even the defenses of Yi Chen's eternal god body, represented by the earth divine pattern green leaf glow, showed signs of shattering under the scorching force of the flames. In an instant, the terrifying threat of the burning flames even caused a slight stir within the true extreme heavenly object inside Yi Chun. The blue extreme ice flame. Blue extreme ice flame. The true extreme heavenly object. That was far more powerful than Bailing Xiaoxiao's embryonic extreme heavenly object by countless magnitudes. What Yi Chun didn't know was that at the moment the blue extreme ice flame stirred within him, Bailing Xiaoxiao's entire divine soul experienced a startling tremor. It was the tremor of a true threat of death. In an instant, Bailing Xiaoxiao realized that Yi Chun must possess an unbelievable treasure, one that even her embryonic extreme heavenly object, the flame blossom, couldn't compare with. This revelation left Bailing Xiaoxiao utterly astonished. What kind of treasure does Yi Chun possess that is even more terrifying than my flame blossom? As Bailing Xiaoxiao was struck with astonishment, that soul-shaking terror disappeared in the blink of an eye, because Bailing Xiaoxiao realized that Yi Chun hadn't even brought out the treasure that caused her alarm. Instead, she heard Yi Chen's voice, "I am defeated. Bailing Xiaoxiao, you are indeed more formidable than me." Boom! Immediately after, amidst a surge of divine light, Yi Chun was teleported out of the number 8 slaughter arena. Chapter 870 Retreat and the Visitor. Until she secured victory, Bailing Xiaoxiao still couldn't believe it. Why didn't Yi Chun bring out his treasure? That treasure could have definitely defeated me. However, Bailing Xiaoxiao did not know that Yi Chun would never use the blue extreme ice flame in the slaughter field. That's because Yi Chun had already decided that he would absolutely not utilize his bottom line ace, the extreme heavenly object, unless he was truly facing a threat to his life. The slaughter field, after all, is just a battle for victory or defeat, not a fight for life and death. In his battle with Bailing Xiaoxiao, Yi Chun gained a tremendous harvest. Losing the fight did not matter much. It was just a loss of 50 million slaughter points. For Yi Chun, who currently had 393 million slaughter points, it was insignificant. Yi Chun would not expose his trump card just for the vain title of the strongest in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. What's more, once he used the blue extreme ice flame, even if it was a minuscule portion, that would undoubtedly surpass the combat power level of a lower heavenly divine venerable. In that case, it would be an unfair fight against Bailing Xiaoxiao. After all, even if Bailing Xiaoxiao utilized a nascent magical treasure from the extreme heavenly objects, it was still a means within the scope of a lower heavenly divine venerable's combat power. A single victory or defeat is not significant. What's critical is that this battle has enlightened me on many things. I need to enhance my divine power and, at the same time, I must become more proficient in the application of various methods. Once I train for a period of time, surpassing Bailing Xiaoxiao, even without resorting to the blue extreme ice flame method, is something I can absolutely achieve. Divine sense flickered within Yi Chen's heart. Unarrogant in victory, unwavering in defeat. This is Yi Chen's style. At this moment, Yi Chen only had one thought, and that was to return to the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, to train, and to continue fighting against the fiend beasts, to accumulate more combat experience. With this thought in mind, Yi Chun gave Bailing Xiaoxiao a fist salute from the defeated area, then took his leave and exited the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. Once Yi Chun left the slaughter field, Bailing Xiaoxiao also flew back from the number 8 arena to the spectating area. Instantly, countless martial artists converged on Bailing Xiaoxiao. Bailing Xiaoxiao is still the most powerful. Indeed, Bailing Xiaoxiao is deserving of being the number 1 in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. Even Yi Chun, as terrifyingly strong as he is no match for Bailing Xiaoxiao. Even Bai Chan, who was ranked 2nd, flew to Bailing Xiaoxiao's side and started to congratulate her. Bailing Xiaoxiao, it seems only you could defeat Yi Chun. All eyes looked at Bailing Xiaoxiao with admiration. At this moment, what nobody expected was for Bailing Xiaoxiao to shake her head. Her gaze followed Yi Chen's figure as he flew out of the slaughter field. Bailing Xiaoxiao spoke slowly. "You are all mistaken. If it were a real battle to the death, I would definitely not be Yi Chen's match." After she made this statement, Bailing Xiaoxiao nodded to the yellow-robed woman waiting for her in the corner of the spectating area, and the two of them, like Yi Chun, immediately left the slaughter field. Until Yi Chun and Bailing Xiaoxiao had disappeared, the countless martial artists in the spectating area still hadn't recovered. What? Bailing Xiaoxiao said she was definitely not Yi Chen's match? But she clearly defeated Yi Chen. Everyone was completely baffled. However, a thought flashed across the minds of these martial artists, that Yi Chun was probably not as simple as he appeared. Otherwise, the extraordinarily proud Bailing Xiaoxiao wouldn't have made such a statement. Yi Chun didn't know about the thoughts of the people in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. He was even more unaware that Biling Xiaoxiao, despite winning, would openly admit that she was not his match in a life-or-death struggle. Now, having left the slaughter field, Yi Chun exchanged the remaining 343 million slaughter points for 100 million merit points. Keeping the rest of the slaughter points, he immediately returned to his own cave mansion in the God King living continent. After resting for a day, he continued his journey to the Ruins continent and the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. This time, Yi Chun even spent over 50 million merit points to secure 1.5 years of training time in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. There is only about a year and 6 months left before the opening of Heavenly God Mountain. Yi Chun plans to spend this time training in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. He aims to break through from the initial stage of the Lower God King realm all the way to the peak of the Lower God King, or perhaps even the Middle God King realm. Meanwhile, Yi Chun made a firm decision to master the Earth Divine patterns of the Eternal God Body more proficiently, and at the same time, completely cultivate the Bloodlight Blade technique and the 9 Swords of Annihilation swordsmanship to perfection level. Through this, he aimed to gain a deeper understanding of the mysterious Spirit Thousand Sword skills and aspire to master it at a much profounder level. Upon arriving at the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, Yi Chun, as he did the last time, directly chose a lower Heavenly Divine Venerable level cultivation chamber. Last time, 1 month of cultivation hadn't satisfied Yi Chun. This time, he had exchanged for a whole year and a half of cultivation time, and he could thoroughly immerse himself in training. As soon as he entered the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable level cultivation chamber, Yi Chun began meditating and regulating his breath, digesting the insights from the several battles he had in the slaughter field, especially the insights from battles with Bai Chun and Biling Xiaoxiao. Afterward, Yi Chun began his new training regimen. Days went by one after another. While cultivating in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, Yi Chun rarely left the chamber. The only few times he did, he went to the Earth Fiend area to battle with the Fiend Beasts. However, after 8 months of cultivation in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable level chamber, Yi Chun left the chamber and directly entered a higher level, Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable level cultivation chamber. Once he entered, 6 months passed, and Yi Chun didn't leave the Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable level chamber at all. After spending an entire year and 2 months in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, Yi Chun, who was sitting cross-legged in the Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable level cultivation chamber, suddenly opened his eyes. Now, after more than a year of cultivation, the aura of divine power on Yi Chun was tens of times stronger than when he fought Biling Xiaoxiao. At this moment, Yi Chun had already progressed from just entering the Lower God King realm to the pinnacle of the Lower God King realm. One more step and he would seamlessly perceive the breakthrough barrier, propelling towards the Middle God King realm. A year and 2 months have passed, and I've gone from the initial discomfort of entering the Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable level chamber, where I was even oppressed by the immense Earth Fiend strength to the point of crawling on the ground, to now being able to move freely within it. During this time, I have also entered the Life Origin Wheel, taking advantage of the time flow rate to cultivate for a month. Now, my combat power is such that I can handle Biling Xiaoxiao with ease, and even within the Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable combat power slaughter field, I could probably fight against countless Middle Heavenly Divine Venerable level individuals. Yi Chun gave a gentle smile and nodded in satisfaction. If anyone knew that Yi Chun, in just over a year, had rushed from entering the Lower God King realm to the peak of the Lower God King, countless people would have been astounded. This speed of cultivation was simply too fast. You have to understand that advancing from Lower God King to Middle God King is countless times harder than moving up from the True God realm to the Lower God King realm. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many stuck at the Lower God King level. Even many who also utilize time flow rate for cultivation couldn't possibly rise from just stepping into the Lower God King realm to reaching the peak of the Lower God King realm so quickly. Being able to spend decades or even 100 years to reach the peak of the Lower God King, countless others would be extremely grateful. Even true geniuses would probably need several years or even more than a decade to do so. Only top geniuses like Yi Chun and Long Li could elevate their realm levels so quickly. Plus, Yi Chun was different from Long Li. The divine power Yi Chun cultivated was the Tai divine power from the 5th volume of the Primordial Star Scripture. This kind of divine power was terrifyingly strong, and thus even harder to enhance. Being able to increase the quantity of Tai divine power by tens of times in just over a year is a legend in itself for those practicing the primordial star scripture. I've trained for such a long time. It's now the right moment to have a battle with the middle heavenly divine venerable level fiend beasts. Yi-chun smiled lightly and stepped out towards the fiend beast area corresponding to the middle heavenly divine venerable level cultivation chamber. In the following months, Yi-chun was constantly engaged in fierce combat with fiend beasts. The number of middle heavenly divine venerable level fiend beasts that perished under his hand reached a staggering figure. Over the past year, Yi-chun had been cultivating non-stop in the Ruins continent and hadn't appeared on several other living continents. The legend he created at the Supreme Divine Institute was gradually being forgotten by many as he continued his absence. During this time, several things happened. The first was that the little provincial princess who joined the Supreme Divine Institute along with Yi-chun had smoothly advanced from the 3 tribulations true god level to the 9 tribulations true god level in this past year. She burst into the 5th rank of the true god ranking list, earning a chance to live in the first cave mansion area of the true god life continent. However, excitedly heading to the first cave mansion area in search of Yi-chun, the little provincial princess found out that Yi-chun had long ago entered the God King realm and moved to the God King living continent. She pouted and resentfully said, "Brother Yi-chun is always surpassing me. No, I must hurry and cultivate to the God King realm and find Brother Yi-chun on the God King living continent." Another event was that Bailing Xiaoxiao, who had once fought against Yi-chun, finally had her combat power break through to the middle heavenly God divine venerable level. Leaving the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, she entered the higher middle heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field to commence battle. The day the heavenly God mountain opened was fast approaching. On this day, the tranquil life at the Supreme Divine Institute was suddenly disrupted. That's because countless divine kings from the other 4 great divine kingdoms suddenly surged into the Supreme Divine Institute. These countless divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms were the ones who, along with the countless divine kings of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, were preparing to enter the Heavenly God Mountain. Chapter 871 Wrecking the Place. The God Kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms that poured into the Supreme Divine Institute are from Chenjua Divine Kingdom, Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, Black Dragon Mountain Divine Kingdom, and Lansong Divine Kingdom. Among these 4 divine kingdoms, in terms of overall strength, except for Lansong Divine Kingdom, which is comparable to Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, the other 3 are much more powerful than Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. This is also easy to understand. After all, Heavenly God Mountain is an exclusive territory of Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. If people from other divine kingdoms want to enter, they must engage in a benefit exchange with Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. If the strength is not greater than Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, there will be little that the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation would value enough to exchange Heavenly God Mountain entries for benefits. The reason Lansong Divine Kingdom's divine kings could come to Heavenly God Mountain is because they exchanged an entry opportunity suitable for the Earth Divine Venerables of their divine kingdom to explore with Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. As for Chenjua Divine Kingdom, Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, and Black Dragon Mountain Divine Kingdom, they offered adventure entries meant for sovereign-level characters and hence Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation agreed to let these 3 great divine kingdoms come to Heavenly God Mountain. This time, each of the 4 great divine kingdoms dispatched 100,000 God Kings to Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, preparing to enter Heavenly God Mountain. With 400,000 God Kings pouring into the Supreme Divine Institute at once and being arranged to reside in the God King training continent of the Institute, it made the place extraordinarily lively. In addition to sending 100,000 God Kings each, the 4 divine kingdoms also dispatched 3 sovereign-level powers to lead the teams. Among them, the highest-ranked sovereign power sent by Lansong Divine Kingdom is a 7-star sovereign, while the other 3 divine kingdoms even sent 8 stars and 9-star sovereigns. From the strength of these leading sovereigns, one can see how much these divine kingdoms value the expedition to Heavenly God Mountain of Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation.
No wonder.
Heavenly God Mountain is the most mystical realm that the God Kings of Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation can enter. Once inside, If one can survive and come out alive, they will certainly elevate their realm and obtain countless benefits. Although Heavenly God Mountain is extremely perilous, and it would be considered good if even 1 out of 10,000 could survive, the God Kings from these 4 great divine kingdoms are also numerous, and despite the dangers, countless individuals eagerly vie to tackle Heavenly God Mountain. After all, just by entering, they can absolutely elevate their realm within a year, which holds tremendous allure for every God King. Moreover, each of these God Kings possesses some abilities, and none of them believe that they will be the ones to perish in the end, so they all cling to a stroke of luck and the prospect of hitting it big. This is especially true for the top God Kings among these 4 great divine kingdoms. They would not pass up the opportunity to challenge Heavenly God Mountain. In their eyes, this represents an excellent chance for swift realm advancement. Perhaps other people, upon entering Heavenly God Mountain, would have a 99% chance of falling, and the odds of miraculously obtaining vast fortune are slim. But for the supreme geniuses from these 4 great divine kingdoms, they firmly believe that they will not meet their end in Heavenly God Mountain. As soon as the God Kings from these 4 divine kingdoms arrived at the Supreme Divine Institute, the news of the arrival of these top-level God King prodigies from the 4 great divine kingdoms quickly spread throughout the Institute. The spread of this news, on one hand, was because the visitors from the 4 divine kingdoms did not conceal their presence and even flaunted it in front of the disciples of the Supreme Divine Institute. On the other hand, it was also due to the well-informed disciples of the Supreme Divine Institute who investigated and compiled the information. In the end, they even listed the 10 truly demon-level God Kings among the 400,000 God Kings from these 4 divine kingdoms. Among them, the God King ranked first is named Hua Shuelian. This individual is in the upper God King realm, and it's said that his combat power is capable of slaying many superior heavenly divine venerable level beings. This God King also comes from the most powerful Chenjue Divine Kingdom among the 4 great divine kingdoms. The second-ranked God King comes from Black Dragon Mountain Divine Kingdom and is named Lin Shan. Just like Hua Shuelian, he is also in the upper God King realm, and his combat power is likewise able to slay many superior heavenly divine venerable level beings. It is said that this person is quite mysterious, acts infrequently, and thus is less well known, which is why he is ranked after Hua Shuelian. The third-ranked God King is from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom and is named Sima Liao. He is only in the middle God King realm, but his combat power has reached the level of superior heavenly divine venerable, and he is said to be very powerful even among those at that level. Although he hasn't slain as many superior heavenly divine venerables as Hua Shuelian and Lin Shan, who are ranked first and second, he has also killed many of them. What's more special is that Sima Liao is a member of the Snow Liao tribe, the most powerful clan in the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. This Snow Liao tribe is said to be a well-known high-level sentient race throughout this universe, possessing incredible innate divine abilities. Following Sima Liao, ranks 4th to 10th are basically dominated by the God Kings from Chenjue Divine Kingdom, Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, and Black Dragon Mountain Divine Kingdom, with only the 8th belonging to a God King from Lansong Divine Kingdom. These demon-level God Kings ranked 4th to 10th can also confront figures at the level of middle heavenly divine venerables with their God King realm abilities. Although they are not as strong as the top 3, Hua Shuelian, Lin Shan, and Sima Liao, their combat power is said to be extraordinarily formidable among those at the level of middle heavenly divine venerable. Chapter 872 Smashing the Place _2. When the infamous names of the top 10 God Kings from these 4 great divine kingdoms spread throughout the Supreme Divine Institute on the God King living continent, each God King disciple of the Supreme Divine Institute felt shocked and awed. These 4 great divine kingdoms, including Chenjue Divine Kingdom, Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, and Black Dragon Mountain Divine Kingdom, are indeed much stronger than our Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. They actually have so many terrifying God Kings. You have to know, our Supreme Divine Institute's first in the God King list, Yang Yun, can only deal with lower heavenly divine venerables, and can't even handle middle heavenly divine venerables. Countless God King disciples of the Supreme Divine Institute felt a bitter taste in their mouths. After all, As the strongest disciples of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation's Supreme Divine Institute, they were always proud. Now, their first in the God King list couldn't even squeeze into the top 10 of these foreign great divine kingdoms, let alone themselves. They probably couldn't compare with a great number of God Kings from these 4 divine kingdoms. This, of course, was a great embarrassment for them. Originally, our most powerful goddess Longli of the Supreme Divine Institute, she is a talent that comes once in countless ages. Her strength even surpasses the strongest figures among these 4 great divine kingdoms, those Hua Shuilian, Lin Shan, and Sima Liao. Hua Shuilian, Lin Shan, and Sima Liao have slain many upper heavenly divine venerables. Goddess Longli, when she was a middle god king, had slain many extremely formidable upper heavenly divine venerables. Unfortunately, Goddess Longli has already broken through to the Earth Divine Venerable realm and is no longer considered a God King, no longer able to support our Supreme Divine Institute's ranks of God Kings. Although Yang Yun has replaced Goddess Longli's ranking and taken the first place on the God King list, his strength is far inferior to hers. He may still be formidable within the Supreme Divine Institute and even among the 9 great divine institutes, but compared to the prodigious talents of the 4 great divine kingdoms, he is far from their equal. Alas, this time, our Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation has completely lost any top talents that could compare with the peerless demon-level god kings of these 4 great divine kingdoms. Even Lansong Divine Kingdom, whose strength is similar to ours, has produced a peerless demon who ranks 8th. At this point, someone suddenly mentioned Yi Chen. Right, we still have one god king, a real demon. That's Yi Chen, who had a relationship with goddess Long Li. Yi Chen is also terrifyingly powerful. He had just stepped into the God King realm and shot up to 7th place in the God King list. It is said that he later went to the slaughter field and even achieved a streak of 120 consecutive victories in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power slaughter field, only to be defeated by Bailing Xiaoxiao, who ranks first in the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power slaughter field. Even though he is not first on the God King list, his true strength might very well be more formidable than that of the first place Yang Yun. Upon hearing Yi Chen's name, many people's eyes lit up. However, the vast majority still shook their heads. Yi Chen is indeed powerful as a lower god king. He managed to become the 2nd most formidable individual in the lower heavenly god realm slaughter field, which is truly extraordinary. Unfortunately, his realm is too weak. If he were a middle or even upper god king, he might be able to compete with the top 10 demon-level god kings from these 4 great divine kingdoms. After all, he only managed to slaughter in the lower heavenly divine venerable level slaughter field. Those top 10 demons from the 4 great divine kingdoms can at least slaughter among middle heavenly divine venerables, and are even very powerful among those with middle heavenly divine venerable level combat power. Yes, it's too bad. Yi Chen's talent is comparable to those, but he falls short in terms of realm. He is still not their equal. While these people shook their heads, there were still some who continued to believe in Yi Chen's strength. Don't you know? Yi Chen has not been seen for more than a year. It's said that he has been in arduous training all this time. Over a year ago, he was already so formidable. Now, after more than a year, perhaps he has long been capable of contending with middle heavenly divine venerables, and even holds substantial strength among them. Hearing these words, many people shook their heads repeatedly. How is that possible? No matter how much power is improved, it can't be by much in just over a year. Who knows? Maybe Yi Chen is still not able to defeat Bailing Xiaoxiao. Those who believed in Yi Chen then said decisively, "What do you know?" Keep in mind, Yi Chen only took a little over a year to advance from the Heavenly Saint realm to the God King realm. His cultivation speed is not like ordinary people. I guarantee, the moment he shows up after being away for so long, it will definitely shock countless people. The God King disciples from the Supreme Divine Institute had various opinions as they whispered among themselves. Meanwhile, the God Kings from those 4 great divine kingdoms who had arrived at the Supreme Divine Institute settled down quickly and began cultivating quietly under the guidance of their leading sovereign powerhouses. Their goal was Heavenly God Mountain, and they were wholeheartedly preparing for the Charge Heaven Divine Mountain. so they hadn't caused any major disturbances at the Supreme Divine Institute. However, this peace was disrupted on a day when the god kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms were resting. On that day, a lower god king from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom traded a treasure for 100,000 slaughter points with a disciple of a heavenly divine venerable from the Supreme Divine Institute, and then directly entered the slaughter field of the Supreme Divine Institute. As a guest at the Supreme Divine Institute who claimed to just be visiting the slaughter field to have a look, the elders in charge of the slaughter field naturally did not stop him. Unexpectedly, this lower god king went straight into the lower heavenly divine venerable level combat power slaughter field for combat. What's more terrifying is that this lower god king continually emerged victorious, just like Yi Chun did in the past in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat strength slaughter field, achieving over 100 consecutive wins in just one day. The next day, the lower god king entered the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field again, and in the end directly challenged the top 10 experts on the rank list for win rates at the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, eventually defeating all of them. A lower god king from another divine kingdom, yet reigning supreme in the Supreme Divine Institute's lower heavenly divine venerable level combat power slaughter field. This news sent shockwaves throughout the institute. What shook them even more was that after sweeping through the lower heavenly divine venerable level combat power slaughter field, this lower god king directly challenged Bailing Xiaoxiao, who had previously topped the win rate ranking in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, and had since moved on to the middle heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. The grounds for the challenge by this lower god king from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom towards Bailing Xiaoxiao were that he had long admired the goddess Long Li, yet heard that she had taken a liking to Yi Chun. He wanted to prove to Long Li that he was stronger than Yi Chun. If Yi Chun could once sweep through the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, he wanted to show that he, too, could sweep through the lower heavenly divine venerable level combat power slaughter field. Yi Chun lost to Bailing Xiaoxiao back then, but he wanted to prove that he could even defeat Bailing Xiaoxiao. Chapter 873 Bailing Xiaoxiao accepts the challenge. When Bailing Xiaoxiao heard of the challenge from the lower god king of the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, she pondered for a long time before finally accepting the challenge. On one hand, this lower god king had already swept through the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. As the former number 1 figure of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, Bailing Xiaoxiao had to defend the honor of the Supreme Divine Institute no matter what. On the other hand, this lower god king was provoking Yi Chun, and Bailing Xiaoxiao felt a deep admiration for Yi Chun from the bottom of her heart. After all, even though this lower god king, like Yi Chun, could sweep through the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field at the lower god king realm, but Bailing Xiaoxiao had heard that this lower god king of the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom had been in the lower god king realm for many years, and was now at the peak level of lower god kings. Whereas when Yi Chun swept through the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, he had just stepped into the God King realm not long ago, and had cultivated for much less time than this lower God King from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. In this comparison, the miracle created by Yi Chun was much greater than that of the lower God King from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. Naturally, Bailing Xiaoxiao admired Yi Chun even more. What's more, Bailing Xiaoxiao had once felt a real threat from Yi Chun, which made her aware that Yi Chun's real strength was even greater than what he showed. Under these circumstances, Yi Chun was being provoked by this lower god king of the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. Of course, Bailing Xiaoxiao wanted to defeat this lower god king and foil his plan to challenge Yi Chun. Bailing Xiaoxiao wanted to prove that although she was not as good as Yi Chun, she could defeat this provocateur, which would indicate that Yi Chun was even more formidable than him. When the news of Bailing Xiaoxiao's acceptance of the challenge spread, the entire Supreme Divine Institute was abuzz. Everyone wanted to see what the outcome of this battle would be. When the time for the agreed-upon battle arrived, the chosen battlefield, the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, was flooded with countless martial artists coming to watch. Among them, there were not only disciples and elders from the Supreme Divine Institute, but also many god kings from the other 4 great divine kingdoms staying at the institute. The elder in charge of the slaughter field, after consulting with the Elders' Council of the Supreme Divine Institute, specially opened up a viewing platform for god kings of the four great divine kingdoms to observe the battle without needing slaughter points to enter. In the words of the elders of the Supreme Divine Institute's Elders Council, since a god king from another divine kingdom was challenging a disciple of the Supreme Divine Institute, the Supreme Divine Institute would certainly not yield without a fight. Whether to win or to lose, they might as well have an open and fair contest. In such an atmosphere, an hour before the big battle began, more than 800,000 people had poured into the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. Even the powerful immortal divine venerables and sovereigns of the Supreme Divine Institute, who hardly ever appeared in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, had arrived in numbers. And the sovereigns from the four great divine kingdoms and that renowned demonic-level genius god king who had already made a name for himself in the Supreme Divine Institute, had all arrived. Sima Liao, your snow desert divine kingdom's lower god king Shen Chong, is so arrogant, not satisfied with sweeping through the Supreme Divine Institute's lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. He even challenges Bailing Xiaoxiao. After all, we are now within the Supreme Divine Institute's territory. Being so high profile is not good, said a handsome young man in white clothes to a robust young man in red with an imposing aura, speaking through a transmission. This handsome youth in white was none other than Hua Shuilian, the top-ranked among the 10 demonic-level genius god kings from the four great divine kingdoms, an upper god king from Chenjua Divine Kingdom, and the robust youth in red being addressed was Sima Liao, ranked third, from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. Hearing Hua Shuilian's words, Sima Liao waved his hand dismissively and smiled casually. That Shen Chong just loves to stir up trouble. If he wants to fool around like that, let him be. We just need to enjoy the show. Fooling around? I think not. Hua Shuilian looked at Sima Liao with an indistinct meaning in his eyes. Who doesn't know that this Shen Chong is your die-hard little brother and only listens to you? Sima Liao, you let that Shen Chong provoke Yi Chun, that's one thing. However, I advise you not to have other schemes in mind. Whether it be Shen Chong or yourself, you must not harm Yi Chun. You might not be aware, but the Northern Territory King from Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation is quite fond of Yi Chun. If you anger the Northern Territory King, even if you are the genius god king of the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom with a sovereign standing behind you, it won't help. Upon hearing Hua Shuilian mention the Northern Territory King, Sima Liao's expression changed. However, he then smiled at Hua Shuilian and said, Brother Hua, you're overthinking it. I have no acquaintance with Yi Chun and, of course, would not harm him. As for the Northern Territory King, she is the sister of an existence surpassing the sovereigns, and naturally, I would not provoke her. That's for the best. Hua Shuilian nodded and chose not to say more. At this moment, Sima Liao's eyes narrowed, and a hint of murderous intent quietly emerged from the depths of his gaze. The Supreme Divine Institute Disciples Observation Area. Although the little provincial princess Fang Luo is only a 9 tribulations true god, this battle is related to Yi Chun, so she also found a way to come to the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field to watch the fight. While waiting for the battle to begin, the little provincial princess muttered, Humph! This Shen Chong, from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, a lower god king, actually dares to provoke Brother Yi Chun. Isn't Brother Yi Chun 100 times more formidable than you? Now that they say Brother Yi Chun is in retreat cultivating, you can only challenge other people. Wait until Brother Yi Chun comes out of his retreat, and watch as he beats you to a pulp. Not only was the little provincial princess present at the arena, but even Divine Venerable Mengyu and Sovereign Jialan, who had taken Yi Chun to the Longli Cave Manor before, also came to the slaughter field to watch the battle. At the moment, the two women were also conversing through voice transmission. This Shen Chong does not come with good intentions. Regrettably, he is a divine king, and both of our levels are far too superior to his, making it inconvenient for us to fight him. Yi Chun is currently cultivating in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room and won't be coming out anytime soon. If Shen Chong is defeated by Bailing Xiaoxiao, it's still acceptable. But if he wins against Bailing Xiaoxiao, he will definitely claim that he is stronger than Yi Chun in all aspects. By then, it would be embarrassing for Yi Chun if he does not accept the challenge. I hope that Bailing Xiaoxiao can defeat Xian Chong and not disturb Yi Chen's cultivation. Amidst the numerous discussions of the crowd, both challengers finally arrived in succession. That Xian Chong from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom is a tall youth with wings on his back and a pair of sharp fangs. His wings and fangs are both of an eerie blood-red color. Upon seeing the wings and blood-colored fangs on Xian Chong's back, many people exclaimed in surprise, "This Xian Chong is from the Snow Liao tribe of the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. This Snow Liao tribe is the most powerful creature clan in the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. Even in this universe, the Snow Liao tribe is well known as a high-level creature clan. In this Snow Desert Divine Kingdom's divine kings, the renowned Sima Liao is also from the Snow Liao tribe, just like Xian Chong. No wonder Xian Chong could sweep through the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field while at the lower God King realm. Turns out he is from the Snow Liao tribe. It is said that members of the Snow Liao tribe have extraordinary innate divine abilities, which is probably why his combat power is so exceptional. When Bailing Xiaoxiao arrived and saw Xian Chong, her expression also changed. She had never fought against someone of such strange appearance, let alone someone from another divine kingdom, another clan. However, even with her shocked heart, Bailing Xiaoxiao's combat readiness would not be affected. After greeting Xian Chong with a fist salute, the two began their battle. The slaughter arena where the two were fighting was no longer just an ordinary arena of the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. After all, both of their combat powers could be said to have surpassed the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power, so an ordinary arena obviously could not withstand their fight. The arena they were fighting on was specially moved from the upper heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field by the elders of the Supreme Divine Institute. Even if the two fought until heaven and earth shattered, it would not be damaged. When the two truly began fighting, the terrifying scene of battle indeed astonished all the divine kings present. Whether it was Bailing Xiaoxiao's heavenly dragon battle body or her life-bound treasure, both were eye-catching. And that Xian Chong was indeed extraordinary, effortlessly overpowering Bailing Xiaoxiao regardless of what treasure she utilized. Even when Bailing Xiaoxiao finally used her ace up her sleeve, the spark refined from the embryo of an extreme heavenly object that turned the entire slaughter arena into a sea of fire. Xian Chong directly activated a blood-colored treasure, eradicating the endless sea of fire. In the end, after a prolonged battle lasting over 2 incense sticks of time, Bailing Xiaoxiao was defeated by Xian Chong. The moment she failed, Bailing Xiaoxiao's complexion was incredibly pale. The martial artists from the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field of the Supreme Divine Institute were all in disbelief, unable to accept that the once top-ranked formidable person was defeated by Xian Chong. The divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms, who were watching the battle, cheered for Xian Chong's victory at this time. But everyone saw that after Xian Chong defeated Bailing Xiaoxiao, he did not leave the slaughter arena. He directly addressed a leading elder sovereign of the Supreme Divine Institute. "Senior, I have now defeated everyone in your institute's lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field, including Bailing Xiaoxiao, who had defeated Yi Chan before. At this moment, I have enough qualifications to say that I have surpassed your institute's genius Yi Chan. If Yi Chan is not convinced, he can come here and battle me. If he is scared, then from now on, he must admit in front of everyone that he is inferior to me." Chapter 874-. Yi Chan arrives. Xian Chong's words caused an uproar in the crowd. Especially the disciples and elders of the Supreme Divine Institute. Their faces looked extremely ugly. After all, Yi Chan is a prominent figure in the Supreme Divine Institute, and he is even a youth who caught the attention of the sovereign Xuechen, the strongest in the Supreme Divine Institute. Yet he was provoked by Xian Chong, a person from another divine kingdom. This was a slap in the face to everyone in the Supreme Divine Institute. The little provincial princess could not restrain herself first. Although she was only at the True God 9 Tribulations level, she was not afraid of Xian Chong at all. The little provincial princess immediately jumped up from the spectator platform and said to Xian Chong, boasting shamelessly, "My brother Yi Chan is much more powerful than you." Powerful? How is he more powerful than me? Xianchong looked at the little provincial princess, sneered coldly. He had defeated countless people in the lower, heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field back then. I have done the same too. Even Bailing Xiaoxiao, whom he could not defeat, I have defeated now. Tell me, how is he better than me? The little provincial princess's face turned pale with anger from Xianchong's words. My brother Yichun is only 21 years old this year. How old are you? You must be over 200 years old in bone age. Moreover, my brother Yichun just entered the God King realm and was able to defeat countless people of lower, heavenly divine venerable level. Your realm was much higher than my brother Yichun's back then, already at the peak of the lower God King realm. If my brother Yichun reaches the peak of the lower God King realm, he would definitely far surpass you. The little provincial princess's words made Xianchong's expression dark as well. Humph. His achievements can't compare to me. That means he can't compare to me. Whatever else you say is pointless. I could defeat Bailing Xiaoxiao, but he lost to Bailing Xiaoxiao. That's the solid proof I am stronger than him. When Xianchong kept emphasizing his victory over Bailing Xiaoxiao, everyone finally understood why Xianchong wanted to challenge Bailing Xiaoxiao first. By defeating Bailing Xiaoxiao, indeed, he put Yichun in an awkward position. This meant Yichun had to either personally fight him to see who was better, or just admit he was inferior. If Xianchong hadn't challenged Bailing Xiaoxiao first, Yichun could straight refuse to fight him. But now, even refusing seemed hardly an option. What nobody expected at that moment was Bailing Xiaoxiao, who had been defeated, directly say to Xianchong, King Xianchong, you're wrong. Yichun didn't lose to me before. He didn't even use his real tactics. His true combat power is much stronger than mine. I'm absolutely not his match. Wow. Bailing Xiaoxiao's statements surprised many people. At the same time, the martial artists who had seen the battle between Yichun and Bailing Xiaoxiao in the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field also stated, indeed, Bailing Xiaoxiao did say back then during their life and death fight, she was no match for Yichun. Although we do not know what techniques Yichun had not used, with the situation at that time, indeed Yichun still had reserves. Hearing these words, Xianchong sneered, all this you say is useless. He lost to Bailing Xiaoxiao back then. There is a record. Moreover, you say he is powerful, just let him fight me then. If he can defeat me, naturally it proves he's powerful. If he can't defeat me, all else is futile speculation. Yichun has been out of sight for so long. He wouldn't be thinking of being a shrinking turtle, right? Ha. Many divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms laughed loudly upon hearing Xianchong's words. Hearing these laughter and Xianchong's provocative words, Divine Venerable Mengyu and Sovereign Jialan both looked solemn. Boom! Sovereign Jialan even had divine power surge out instantly. She looked at Xianchong and said, King Xianchong, you better watch your mouth. Sovereign Jialan is a 7-star sovereign. Her imposing presence is tremendously powerful. In an instant, with her fury, even Xianchong, who was mocking, hurriedly stopped his laughter, his expression changing dramatically. At this moment, an 8-star sovereign from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom leading the team brushed his hand, distancing Sovereign Jialan's imposing presence far away. This 8-star sovereign looked at Sovereign Jialan smiling, fellow Taoist Jialan, why get angry over the matters of the younger generation? Besides, I've always heard that Yichun is exceptionally powerful. Since that's the case, why not let him show up to demonstrate his strength properly? As this 8-star sovereign spoke, the sovereigns from the Supreme Divine Institute also flew next to Sovereign Jialan, calming down the about-to-explode Sovereign Jialan. With an 8-star sovereign backing him, Xianchong straightened his back. Moreover, countless divine kings from the other 4 great divine kingdoms also took the opportunity to join in the teasing. Yes, we've long heard how powerful Yichun is. To be favored by Goddess Long Li, he must be extraordinary. We all want to witness this. Hearing these teasing voices, the little provincial princess could no longer restrain herself. She stamped her foot and said, My brother Yichun is currently in closed-door cultivation. Humph! The way you talk about him, I'm going to find him now. Saying this, the little provincial princess directly flew into the void. Just at this moment, everyone then heard a voice transmitted into the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. Luoer, no need to stoop to the level of these people. Since he wants to fight me, I will give him a fight. Boom! As the voice fell, a youthful figure flew directly into the lower heavenly divine venerable combat power slaughter field. This youthful figure was unmistakably Yi Chen's. No, at this point Yi Chen could no longer be called a youth, although by the age measures of this universe, he is still a youth. But having undergone over a year of arduous cultivation, Yi Chen's physique had become even more upright. Even his facial features had grown much more resolute. He had truly matured into an extraordinary young man. Yi Chen. It's Yi Chen who has arrived. Has his closed-door cultivation ended? Swoosh. As soon as Yi Chen flew into the slaughter field, countless gazes instantly turned towards him, and the disciples and elders of the Supreme Divine Institute all revealed extraordinarily surprised expressions. If there were any divine king who could potentially battle Xianchong, it would only be the miraculously incredible Yi Chen in the entire Supreme Divine Institute. With Yi Chen's arrival, there was still a chance for everything. Brother Yi Chen. The little provincial princess had not seen Yi Chen for a long time, and there was no moment when she wanted to see him more than now. Seeing that Yi Chen had really come to the slaughter field, the little provincial princess immediately threw herself into Yi Chen's arms. Yi Chen smiled and patted the back of the little provincial princess, then nodded towards Sovereign Jialan, Divine Venerable Mengyu, and others before his gaze finally rested directly on Xianchong. Upon seeing the figure of Xianchong from the Snow Liao tribe, everyone was unaware, but Yi Chen's eyes secretly brightened. Is it you who has always claimed to be stronger than me and provoked me variously? Yi Chen looked at Xianchong and spoke lightly. In Yi Chen's light words, there carried a tone of contempt from the bottom of his heart. Yes, contempt. It could even be heard in his voice. Even though Xianchong had defeated Bailing Xiaoxiao, Yi Chen had never truly considered him as an equal opponent. Seeing this expression, Xianchong became furious, but he kept his face unchanged and instead raised his eyebrow, responding to Yi Chen. Yes, I am provoking you, so what about it? Yi Chen, both of us are in the lower God-King realm. Do you dare to fight me in a battle to conclusively determine the victor and loser? Yi Chen gazed around at the lower heavenly divine venerable level combat power slaughter field, noticing numerous divine kings and the sovereigns leading them from the 4 great divine kingdoms were all watching him. The countless disciples and elders from the Supreme Divine Institute were also watching him. Yi Chen gently smiled, turned his head back, and looked at Xianchong, smiling as he said, I just told Luoer that if you wish to battle me, then I will give you that battle. However, since we are here in the lower heavenly divine venerable level slaughter field, our battle, of course, should involve a bet. You're so certain that you can beat me, then why don't you propose the wager? Hearing Yi Chen mention a wager, and seeing his calm demeanor, Xianchong felt a sudden jump in his heart. Could it be that Yi Chen really had the confidence to battle him? But seeing that Yi Chen was also merely in the lower God-King realm like him, and recalling that he had defeated Bailing Xiaoxiao without even giving his full effort while Yi Chen had lost to Bailing Xiaoxiao, even if he had improved, he couldn't possibly be stronger than himself. Especially considering the trump card in his possession, Xianchong felt somewhat reassured. Xianchong directly gave Yi Chen a cold smile. You want a wager? Well, people usually bet slaughter points here in the lower heavenly divine venerable stage slaughter field, but slaughter points are useless to me. Yi Chen, do you dare to bet an ultimate heavenly divine artifact? Whoosh! While speaking, Xianchong stretched out his hand and an ultimate heavenly divine artifact fell into his palm. If I lose, this ultimate heavenly divine artifact will be yours. If you lose, you also concede to me an ultimate heavenly divine artifact. How about that? Hearing the bet on the ultimate heavenly divine artifact, many divine kings in the arena were shocked. It was known that an ultimate heavenly divine artifact was desired by many immortal divine venerables, and yet these 2 lower god kings were making such a huge wager. Everyone was even more curious as to whether Yi Chen had an ultimate heavenly divine artifact and whether he dared to bet. At this moment, to everyone's surprise, Yi Chen flipped his palm, and instantly, a divine artifact appeared in front of him. As soon as this divine artifact appeared, it even made many sovereign great powers in the arena change their expressions. A polar heaven divine artifact, surpassing the ultimate heavenly divine artifact, a treasure not possessed by many sovereign great powers. Yi Chen actually has a polar heaven divine artifact? With his current realm, he can't fully control a polar heaven divine artifact. Not only these sovereigns, but even those 10 demon-level genius divine kings from the 4 divine kingdoms also changed their expressions. They didn't expect Yi Chen to have a polar heaven divine artifact. Sima Liao watched the polar heaven divine artifact in front of Yi Chen with a shocked look, but soon, he narrowed his eyes and said, "It's not a complete polar heaven divine artifact, just a damaged one." Hua Shuelian beside Sima Liao then said, "A damaged polar heaven divine artifact is still much more precious than an ultimate heavenly divine artifact." Yi Chen taking this out, is he planning to wager this item? Even if he wants to wager it, Xian Chong couldn't possibly bring out a similarly damaged polar heaven divine artifact to bet against him. Could he? Following this, Yi Chen's subsequent words shocked everyone in the arena once again. Yi Chen looked at Xian Chong and said directly, "Since you are so certain of your victory, why only bet a single ultimate heavenly divine artifact? If we are to bet, let's make it significant. If I lose to you, this polar heaven divine artifact will directly belong to you. If you lose to me, I won't ask you to compensate with a similar level polar heaven divine artifact, but you will give me 100 drops of your essence blood. Your 100 drops of essence blood are far less valuable than my polar heaven divine artifact. Xian Chong, what do you say? Do you dare to bet? Do you dare to fight?" Chapter 875 Beating Up. Xian Chong, what do you say? Do you dare to wager? Dare to battle? Yi Chen's voice echoed throughout the lower heavenly divine venerable combat slaughter field, stunning everyone. No one expected that it was originally Xian Chong who challenged Yi Chen, asking him if he dared to wager a battle. Now, not only had Yi Chen accepted the challenge, but he also dramatically increased the stakes, turning the tables to ask Xian Chong if he dared. Instantly, all eyes were on Xian Chong. Everyone wanted to see if Xian Chong would dare to take on Yi Chen's wager. If Xian Chong didn't dare to take up the wager in turn, he would become the laughingstock of all. Wager my 100 drops of essence blood? This Yi Chen is simply going too far. For martial artists, essence blood is equivalent to the life origin. It requires tremendous effort to recover once depleted, and sometimes it might never completely recover. True, Xian Chong's 100 drops of essence blood may not be worth as much as the ultimate heavenly artifact, but Yi Chen's proposal to wager essence blood directly made Xian Chong feel enormously humiliated. At this moment, under the watchful eyes of all, Xian Chong could not possibly decline Yi Chen's wager. Otherwise, not only the disciples of the Supreme Divine Institute might laugh at him, but even the divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms might look down on him. After all, it was he who provoked this situation. In the end, Xian Chong thought bitterly, "A wager then, a wager it shall be. I've cultivated for so many years. How could I be afraid of you, Yi Chen? I'll make sure you neither get my essence blood, nor will you retain your ultimate heavenly artifact." With that in mind, a surge of eagerness welled up in Xian Chong. The ultimate heavenly artifact. Oh, even a damaged one. If he could obtain it, he would certainly make a fortune. With this thought, Xian Chong directly challenged Yi Chen. "A bet then, a bet it is. Yi Chen, do you really think I'm afraid of you?" Hearing Xian Chong's agreement, a glint of sharpness flashed in Yi Chen's eyes as he thought to himself, "Done!" Wow. At this moment, the spectating area erupted into hubbub. Countless people were incredibly excited. After all, they were about to witness another thrilling fight. Boom! Having set the wager, Yi Chen's figure dashed and he directly flew onto the slaughter arena, taking his place amidst the void, standing opposite Xian Chong from afar. As the real battle was about to commence, Xian Chong's vanity became even more pronounced. He licked his lips and sneered at Yi Chun. Yi Chun, you were defeated by Biling Xiaoxiao, yet I triumphed over her. Since we're going to battle, I'll let you make the first move. Don't say I'm bullying the weak. Xian Chong was showing off his battle achievements once more. In his heart, Xian Chong thought by letting Yi Chun make the first move and then counterattacking, he could defeat Yi Chun instantly and show his formidableness even more. Xian Chong was indulging in a beautiful dream. At that moment, after hearing Xian Chong's words, Yi Chun responded with a smile. Are you sure you want me to make the first move? Let you take the first move? So what? Xian Chong still spoke disdainfully. As his words fell, Yi Chun didn't say more, directly stating, all right, if you're looking for a beating, you can't blame me. Boom! In an instant, as Xian Chong had wished, Yi Chun made the first move. The moment Yi Chun took action, Xian Chong immediately realized something was wrong. He found that with just a simple wave of the hand, a terrifying palm strike like an overwhelming tidal wave was crashing down on him. Under the onslaught of this terrifying palm strike, Xian Chong even felt as if there was nowhere to escape. Bang! Indeed, there was nowhere to escape. Even though Xian Chong mobilized all his divine power trying to dodge Yi Chen's attack, he couldn't avoid it at all and was instantly struck down onto the slaughter arena by Yi Chen's palm. The slaughter arena where the two fought was a battle platform specially moved by the power of the sovereign of the Supreme Divine Institute from the superior heavenly divine venerable combat slaughter field for the previous battle between Xian Chong and Biling Xiaoxiao. It was incredibly solid. When Xian Chong was struck onto the slaughter arena by that palm, the platform was unscathed, but Xian Chong's entire body felt as though it was going to break apart. The more exciting part was yet to come. Xian Chong, whose body almost felt shattered by that palm strike, couldn't even scream before Yi Chen's subsequent assault followed one after another. Boom! 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 Terrible palm strikes rained down on Xian Chong incessantly. Before Xian Chong could get up from the slaughter arena, he was bombarded back onto the ground of the platform. He was simply being thrashed by Yi Chun, without even a chance to fight back. In the end, Xian Chong couldn't even manage a counterattack and was directly blasted to the brink of life and death by Yi Chun, eventually being eliminated from the slaughter arena. Defeat. The outcome of the battle between Xian Chong and Yi Chun was a one-sided terrible defeat for Xian Chong. At this moment, the spectating area was filled with shock. No one expected Xian Chong to be defeated so miserably. Now, letting Yi Chun take the first action seemed like a joke. Yi Chun took initiative, and before Xian Chong could even retaliate, he was already beaten. Everyone could see that Yi Chen's combat power was much greater than Xian Chong's, who was no match for Yi Chun at all. At this moment, even the few behind the top 10 demon-level prodigies of the 4 great divine kingdoms were all agape. These demon-level talents felt that Yi Chen's combat power might not be much weaker than theirs, and it was even possible that they were on par with them. Sima Liao, ranked 3rd, was also shocked. Xian Chong couldn't even fight back. He's a combatant who is considered to have stepped into the middle heavenly divine venerable combat power level. Has Yi Chen's combat level also reached the middle heavenly divine venerable combat power level? And is he an absolute powerhouse within this level? Although Sima Liao sensed that Yi Chun hadn't stepped into the combat level of superior heavenly divine venerable like himself, the way Yi Chun thrashed Xian Chong made Sima Liao believe that Yi Chen's strength was indeed extraordinary. Hua Shuilian, who was by Sima Liao's side, also exclaimed with shock at this moment. This Yi Chun definitely has the strength to rank in the top 10 among the 400,000 martial artists coming from our 4 great divine kingdoms this time, although he might not necessarily be able to defeat us. However, he is absolutely not weaker than the last few in the top 10. The numerous martial artists from the 4 great divine kingdoms were all shaken. Meanwhile, the disciples and elders of the Supreme Divine Institute were overjoyed, with many even cheering excitedly. The little provincial princess's face flushed with excitement as she shouted at the defeated Xian Chong. I said you couldn't beat my brother Yi Chun, and you didn't believe me. Now you can't even handle a single move from my brother Yi Chun. Biling Xiaoxiao, along with the martial artists from the slaughter field who had seen Yi Chen's power before, were extremely surprised at this moment. They had thought that Yi Chen's strength would improve after over a year of arduous cultivation. But they had never imagined that Yi Chen's strength would improve to such an extent. Especially Biling Xiaoxiao, she had always been looking forward to Yi Chen using that treasure, which even she feared, to defeat Xianchong. But what Biling Xiaoxiao did not expect was that, without using that treasure, Yi Chen could beat Xianchong so miserably. Obviously, at this moment, using just his normal abilities, Yi Chen's combat power far exceeded hers. Right now, Yi Chen was no longer at the level he was when he fought against her in the slaughter field of the lower heavenly divine venerable. It was as if his combat power had increased countless times. Sovereign Jialan and divine venerable Meng Yu exchanged glances at this moment, their eyes filled with a mix of surprise and delight. Who would have thought, after more than a year, Yi Chen's strength has improved so much? It seems that his arduous cultivation in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room has brought him an enormous harvest. The elders of the Supreme Divine Institute, at this moment, each felt a sense of exhaling and lifting their eyebrows in satisfaction. Previously, Xianchong had swept through the slaughter field of the lower heavenly divine venerable with his power, and also defeated Biling Xiaoxiao, which had greatly suppressed their spirits. Now Yi Chen has helped them, and the entire Supreme Divine Institute, regain their dignity. An 8-star sovereign elder from the Supreme Divine Institute even deliberately said to the sovereign who had previously intervened to stop Sovereign Jialan from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom. How about it, Elder Shui? Didn't you say you wanted to see Yi Chen's strength? Isn't Yi Chen's strength quite something? Yi Chen, just like your divine kingdom's Xianchong, is in the lower God King realm. Besides, Yi Chen has spent much less time cultivating than Xianchong. Unexpectedly, Xianchong was defeated so miserably. Tisk. The elder from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom had previously ridiculed the Supreme Divine Institute overtly and covertly on various occasions. Now, the elders of the Supreme Divine Institute finally found an opportunity to throw those taunts back at them. It was indeed payback. The 8-star sovereign elder from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, on hearing the words of the elder from the Supreme Divine Institute, trembled with anger. Useless. Xianchong is too useless. Actually unable to withstand a single move from Yi Chen. If you can't resist, then don't show off. Now you've lost face badly, making our Snow Desert Divine Kingdom lose face along with you. In his rage, the 8-star sovereign elder glared at Xianchong, wishing he could slap Xianchong to death on the spot. At this moment, Xianchong was not at all aware of the glaring eyes of his divine kingdom's leading elder. His heart was filled with disbelief and unwillingness. No, how could I be defeated by this Yi Chen? The ultimate heavenly artifact is mine. It's mine. It's just because Yi Chen took action first and I didn't notice that is why I lost. It must be so. As he said this, Xianchong's head abruptly raised as he shouted towards Yi Chen. I don't accept this, Yi Chen. I do not. If I take the first move, I will definitely defeat you. Xianchong's refusal to admit defeat even after losing caused a commotion among the spectators. Shameless. To lose and not admit it. And you were the one who let brother Yi Chen make the first move. Every word was yours. How about you just ascend to heaven? The little provincial princess was even amused to the point of laughter by Xianchong's shamelessness. Others also started cursing at Xianchong vigorously. However, Xianchong ignored all these curses. He was just looking at Yi Chen, because he knew only if he shamelessly got another chance to fight Yi Chen could he regain his face. Yi Chen, hearing Xianchong's words, of course knew what Xianchong's silly act was all about. However, Yi Chen didn't care about his tricks. Yi Chen directly said to Xianchong indifferently, "Not convinced? Fine. Then I'll let you make the first move." Hearing that Yi Chen really agreed to fight him again, Xianchong hurriedly flew back to the slaughter arena from the defeated area. As if afraid that Yi Chen would change his mind, Xianchong didn't say another word and immediately launched an attack at Yi Chen. Boom! 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 In an instant, Xianchong unleashed all his formidable techniques. He released all his divine power, and even brought out his precious life-bound treasure. However, when Xianchong launched his initial attack on Yichun, what followed was a scene that surprised everyone once again. Just like before, Yichun struck with an earth-shattering palm, completely scattering all of Xianchong's attacks. Then, the huge palm force once again slammed Xianchong to the ground. Finally, amidst endless blows, Xianchong was once again brutally defeated and eliminated. A crushing defeat. A merciless beating. This time, Xianchong still ended up miserably crushed and savagely defeated. After this defeat, the color drained from Xianchong's face. He knew that he indeed could not defeat Yichun no matter what. Even though he could sweep through the slaughter field of lower heavenly divine venerables, and even defeat Biling Xiaoxiao, his combat power was only at the level of a common mid-level heavenly divine venerable. But Yichun's combat power was obviously many times stronger than his. At this moment, Xianchong didn't even dare to look at Yichun or anyone else any longer. After all, he had lost a lot of face. Regretful of his insistence and having lost again, his reputation was completely tarnished. Xianchong even thought about sneaking out of the slaughter arena. But Yichun was not going to let him get his wish. Yichun directly said to Xianchong, "How about it? Are you convinced now? If you're still not convinced, I don't mind beating you up once more. If you are convinced, then honor your bet, 100 drops of essence blood, and pay up." Chapter 876, Bloodletting. No one knows why Yichun wagered 100 drops of essence blood with Xianchong. No one knows why upon hearing Xianchong accepting the bet, Yichun couldn't help but say success in his heart. Indeed, Xianchong was the one who provoked first. To clear his name and uphold the dignity of the Supreme Divine Institute, Yichun would defeat Xianchong. On the way from the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room to the lower Heavenly Divine Venerable Combat Power Slaughter Field, Yichun had made this decision. At that time, Yichun did not even think about the stakes. He just focused on defeating this provocateur. However, the moment Yichun saw Xianchong, an expression of immense surprise surged in his heart. Because Xianchong came from the Snow Desert Divine Kingdom and was a tribesman of the Snow Liao tribe. Many spectators knew that the Snow Liao tribe, from this universe, is a famous high-level spirit clan with potent innate divine abilities. Yet, they did not know that Yichun precisely needed the lifeblood of high-level spirit clans. The 5th chapter of the primordial star scripture Yichun cultivated, the Tai chapter, required Yichun to find 7 high-level spirit clan tribesmen and obtain 100 drops of essence blood from each. Then, to drop them into the star discs formed by the 7 dazzling stars on the 5th level of the star's tower. Only then, Yichun could proceed to the 6th chapter of the primordial star scripture. For this purpose, the 5th level of the star's tower even reserved for Yichun a heavenly spirit rankings that records 10,000 powerful spirit beings in the universe. Back then, upon seeing the heavenly spirit rankings, Yichun had memorized the 10,000 powerful spirit clans in his heart. He even engraved deeply into his mind the 100 high-level spirit clans useful for his breakthrough to the 6th chapter of the primordial star scripture. This was the reason he recognized Xianchong as someone from the high-level spirit clan, Snow Liao tribe at first glance. According to the requirements of the Tai chapter, Yichun needed to find 100 drops of essence blood from 3 heavenly divine venerable level, 2 immortal divine venerable level, and 1 sovereign level high-level spirit clan individuals. Out of the 7 essence blood requirements, only 1 position can be used to find essence blood from below the heavenly divine venerable realm of high-level spirit clans. Originally, Yichun planned to look for the opportunity to gather essence blood after completing the requests of Huyan Divine Master in the True Spirit Divine Kingdom after coming out from Heavenly God Mountain. After all, there are many high-level spirit clans in the True Spirit Divine Kingdom. But now, having unexpectedly encountered Xianchong, a tribesman from the Snow Liao tribe here, Yichun certainly would not miss this closer opportunity. Although Xianchong is just a divine king, he is a tribesman of a high-level spirit clan, meeting one of Yichun's requirements for seeking the 7 major bloods. Yichun certainly wants to obtain essence blood from Xianchong. Once he obtains the essence blood and drips it into the star's tower to activate one of the 7-star discs. It will greatly aid the potency of his Tai chapter, especially since Yichun is about to enter Heavenly God Mountain, and also to help Huyan Divine Master fulfill his wish in the True Spirit Divine Kingdom. Both of these matters do not afford any mistakes. If there are, it would mean Yichun could die. Of course, Yichun hopes for his power to be enhanced sooner rather than later. Now, having the chance to obtain Xian Chong's essence blood, and having the opportunity to activate a star disk before entering Heavenly God Mountain, Yichun would certainly not miss this godsend. Xian Chong has no idea that Yichun's wager with him, by setting a bet on essence blood, involves such deep reasons. Xian Chong is even more unaware that while he intended to shame Yichun, he ended up unwittingly aiding him. When Yichun asked for the wager to be paid, Xian Chong's face turned successive shades of red and white, and he even stood still looking towards Sima Liao as if seeking help. However, at that moment Sima Liao did not heed Xian Chong's plea for help. It's a joke, Sima Liao isn't foolish. He knew that Xian Chong's defeat, not conceding but losing again, had already brought him great embarrassment, and if he did not even pay up the bet, that would be utterly indefensible. Moreover, Sima Liao had seen that when Yichun demanded Xian Chong to pay up the bet, the elders of the Supreme Divine Institute were all eagerly watching Xian Chong. It seemed like if Xian Chong dared to renege, they would personally enter the fray to catch him and force him to pay the bet. In this situation, Sima Liao could not help Xian Chong anymore. He even directly transmitted a message to Xian Chong. It's just 100 drops of essence blood. If he wants it, just give it to him. It's still better than you compensating with a more valuable ultimate heavenly artifact. After returning to Snow Desert Divine Kingdom from Heavenly God Mountain this time, I will search for treasures to help you recover your life origin and replenish your essence blood. Even Sima Liao said this, leaving Xian Chong no choice but to gloomily fly back to the slaughter arena. He extended his arm towards Yichun and said, I will force the essence blood into the meridians of my arm. You need to take 100 drops, so hurry up and take them. Having been defeated under the watchful eyes of the public and now about to be bled in the same manner, Xian Chong thought to himself that he had truly bad luck for several lifetimes. If he had known how powerful Yichun was, he would have never provoked him, not even if he was beaten to death. Even if it was Sima Liao who secretly instigated him to provoke Yichun, he would have asked Sima Liao to find someone else. Xian Chong's regretful feelings were of course unknown to Yichun. At this moment, Yichun was not about to pay any heed to Xian Chong's feelings. Upon hearing Xian Chong agree to bleed, Yichun extended his finger, and a flash of sword light directly sliced upon Xian Chong's arm. Instantly, drops of green-tinged essence blood began dripping down towards the ground. With another tap of Yichun's finger, a small white bottle caught those falling drops of essence blood. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. In a moment, 100 drops of essence blood had all fallen into the small white bottle. Yichun checked it over once and, seeing that they were indeed true essence blood, sealed the little white bottle, flipped his palm, and stowed the bottle on his person. 100 drops of Snow Liao tribe essence blood obtained. Yichun was in a very good mood. He even smiled at Xian Chong and said, Divine King Xian Chong, thank you very much. Being thanked by Yichun made Xian Chong even more infuriated to the point of almost spitting out blood. He thought to himself, do you think I wanted to give you my essence blood? Xian Chong didn't wish to speak another word to Yichun, nor did he want to stay in this humiliating place any longer, having already paid the stake. He directly flew away from the slaughter field without turning back. Meanwhile, Yichun, the little provincial princess, Divine Venerable Mengyu, and Sovereign Jialan among others stayed and talked for a while longer, and then also left the slaughter field. The crowd slowly dispersed. However, the incident where Yichun had a great battle with Xian Chong, ultimately beating Xian Chong so badly that he couldn't even retaliate, remained a topic of discussion among the spectators for a long time. Eventually, through these people's accounts, the news spread to the ears of all disciples and elders in the Supreme Divine Institute. Among the crowd, however, no one noticed that Sima Liao of Snow Desert Divine Kingdom, while watching Yi Chun leave the slaughter field, had a mysterious cold glint hidden deep within his eyes. Unexpectedly, having Xian Chong try to test Yi Chun turned out this way. Well then, at least it has reaffirmed that Yi Chen's capabilities are still within my expectations. It appears, as Divine Dragon Mountain Sect Master Qin Yuntian said, killing Yi Chun on Heavenly God Mountain is going to require some effort. I need to prepare a few trump cards. The thoughts weighing on Sima Liao's mind revealed a shocking piece of information. This person, ranked third among the top 10 demon-level genius divine kings from the 4 major divine kingdoms and possessing combat power fierce enough to defeat countless superior heavenly divine venerables, Sima Liao, was actually affiliated with Divine Dragon Mountain Sect Master Qin Yuntian. Originally, Qin Yuntian had said he would find someone among other strong divine kings from various divine kingdoms entering Heavenly God Mountain to deal with Yi Chun. Unexpectedly, this Sima Liao was the candidate he had found. Having left the slaughter field, Yi Chun directly returned to his own cave dwelling. He did not continue to practice in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room. Yi Chun simply sat cross-legged in his cave dwelling, looking at the small white bottle in front of him containing 100 drops of Xian Chong's essence blood. There's barely over a month left before entering Heavenly God Mountain. Now, with so many divine kings from the 4 major divine kingdoms coming to enter Heavenly God Mountain, along with the divine kings from Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom, the competition will definitely be intensely fierce. Not only must I enter Heavenly God Mountain and also return alive from it, I have another task to accomplish. It seems I need to prepare even stronger techniques. During the past year in the Earth Fiend Cultivation Room, my techniques have greatly improved. In the remaining month or so, I'll use it to properly cultivate the Tai Divine Power. First, let's activate one of the 7 stars in the star disk using Xian Chong's 100 drops of essence blood. Whoosh! At the thought from Yi Chun, his divine soul once again entered the star's tower. Chapter 877- Creating My Own Divine Arts. When Yi Chun reached the 5th layer of the star's tower and dropped the 100 drops of Snow Liao tribe essence blood into the star disk formed by 7 resplendent stars in the void of the 5th layer. Boom! One of the resplendent stars suddenly emitted a pale golden halo. This halo also projected a beam of light, enveloping Yi Chun entirely within it. In an instant, Yi Chun felt the Tai divine power within him boil and surge violently. At this moment, Yi Chun had already reached the peak level of a lower god king, and the divine power within him had reached the limit of that level. To further increase the quantity of divine power, he would need to elevate his realm. However, while enclosed in the light column projected by the dazzling star emitting the golden halo within the star's tower, Yi Chun discovered that although the quantity of his Tai divine power remained unchanged, the quality of the Tai divine power within him, however, had undergone a new transformation and elevation. When Yi Chun had a thought, his originally black and white intertwined Tai divine power turned into a pale gold color, and at the same time, mysterious divine script information flew directly into his mind. After Yi Chun had read through this divine script information, he showed an expression of both surprise and peculiar curiosity. The Primordial Star Scriptures, Tai chapter, says that for every star lighted in the star disk, the quality of the Tai divine power can be elevated by 1 level. Indeed, it's not an unfounded assertion. The Tai divine power is already much more powerful than the heaven-reaching divine power of those divine kings. It is precisely because I have fortified my divine body and divine arts with Tai divine power that I possess the combat power to defeat countless middle-ranking heavenly divine venerables. But now, having lighted one of the stars in the star disk, I can directly draw upon the starry origin power of the 7 stars with my Tai divine power. Just like right now, as long as I transform the Tai divine power into the quality of pale gold, I can directly draw on the origin power of that dazzling star, which is radiating a pale golden halo. According to the Tai chapter, the starry origin power within these 7 stars is boundless, and the quality definitely surpasses that of normal Tai divine power. Once I utilize this origin power in my cultivation techniques, my combat power may well soar tremendously once again, possibly even reaching the level where battling a superior heavenly divine venerable is not impossible. The reason for Yi Chen's excitement was indeed the ability to draw on even more powerful forces. The strange expression on Yi Chen's face was because the origin power of these 7 stars cannot be used casually. To be precise, it's not something that can readily be applied to divine body skills and divine arts. Even the eternal God body that Yi Chen cultivates with Tai divine power cannot utilize the starry origin power of the 7 stars. Mysterious Spirit Thousand Sword skills is the same. Even if Yi Chen could draw on the starry origin power, he still couldn't release it through the Mysterious Spirit Thousand Sword skills from within the star's tower. The only way to truly draw on the starry origin power, according to that divine script information, is only by creating one's own unique divine arts within the starry origin power. Only by creating exclusive divine arts can the starry origin power be drawn upon for attacks. Furthermore, the stronger the self-created divine arts, the more of the origin power that can be drawn upon. Seeing that he needed to create divine arts himself, Yi Chen was naturally filled with a sense of oddity. The divine arts, heaven-reaching divine arts, mysterious heavenly divine arts, and even more powerful polar heaven divine arts that Yi Chen and other martial artists practice were all created by higher-level martial artists after countless trials and summarizations. Yi Chen had also thought about creating divine arts that suited him personally. However, on one hand, he had far too few experiences, and on the other hand, his realm was not high, so it was naturally better to create his first unique divine art when he had a profound understanding. But now, to use the even more powerful starry origin power, he must create his own divine arts, which meant Yi Chen had to contemplate creating his very first divine art. The divine script information says that the 7 dazzling stars involved in the Tai chapter can create a unique divine arts creation scene, which is highly suitable for creating divine arts. No time to lose. Then I shall start creating in that divine arts creation scene. With a thought from Yi Chen, all the Tai divine power in his body transformed into a pale golden color. Simultaneously, he sent a fierce surge towards the dazzling star, emitting a pale golden halo in the star disk above him. The next moment, Yi Chen's entire divine soul entered into an indescribable world. This is the divine arts creation scene projected by the pale golden star. Yi Chen looked at this world. This world seemed vast and empty, with only a pale golden fog between heaven and earth. According to the divine script information, in this world, I can imagine any scene at will, and this world will transform into that scene to facilitate my reflection and creation. With this thought in mind, Yi Chen's mind and spirit moved. Then let it become a world of heavy rain. Whoosh! As soon as Yi Chen's mind and spirit moved, the pale golden mist in this world suddenly trembled. Then, as the heavens and earth shifted, Yi Chen heard the sound of a torrential downpour falling around him. He was now in an endless world of heavy rain. Marvelous, truly marvelous. In this world of heavy rain, it's much easier for me to create rain-related divine arts. I can continuously observe the various attacking and operating patterns of the rain. Let's try the next world transformation. Turn it into a world of heavy snow. Whoosh! With a thought from Yi Chen, the initially endless rain-soaked world instantly turned into a world covered with snow, where large snowflakes continuously fell from the sky. Flame world, frost world, gale world. After that, each time Yi Chen thought of a new world construct, in an instant, the world around him transformed into that envisioned world. This feeling, it's as if Yi Chen is the master of this world. The entire heavens and earth are under his control. He is the creator of this world. After experimenting for a long time, Yi Chen stopped experimenting and started to truly begin the creation of his own divine arts. After all, transforming worlds only served as an auxiliary function for creating his divine arts. He couldn't forget the most important thing. To create divine arts, I've actually had some ideas for a while. But there's no rush at this moment. I will first revisit my entire cultivation experience to find the most suitable divine arts for myself. Divine arts. The more suitable for oneself, the better. and divine arts created by oneself naturally must be tailored from the aspects most suited to oneself. With a move of Yi Chen's mind and spirit, the world he was in instantly transformed into the scene of his cultivation days at Qingyun's sect. Yi Chen began to revisit every step of his cultivation, starting from defeating Zhao Jing and Bai Kuan in Qingyun's sect, to breaking into the Thousand Lotus Cave abode, to obtaining the flying sword with Zhang Yao, from entering the ancestral land to killing the 3 great rogue cultivators of Wanya Mountain, and then entering the Taishan sect. Numerous fragments of cultivation rapidly changed in this world. Finally, it continued until Yi Chen arrived at the divine nation of Wanmu Mountain, until encountering Long Li in the Nine Suns' ancient land, right up to Yi Chen's current level of cultivation. After revisiting all of his experiences, Yi Chen sat cross-legged in this world, beginning the creation of his very first self-developed divine art. While Yi Chen was immersed in the creation of his cultivation technique, time passed day by day. The days until the opening of Heavenly God Mountain went from over a month to just over 20 days, then over 10 days. Finally, the day when Heavenly God Mountain opened arrived. Early in the morning, Sovereign Jialan flew to the outside of Yi Chen's cave abode. With a swoosh, Sovereign Jialan sent a divine sense transmission directly flying towards Yi Chen's cave abode. Ever since Yi Chen defeated Shen Chong, he had been cultivating in his cave abode. Many divine venerables who had come to greet him after hearing of his victory over Shen Chong had not seen Yi Chen. Fairy Jialan came to remind Yi Chen that the day to explore Heavenly God Mountain had arrived, lest Yi Chen, immersed in cultivation, missed the time for the adventure. After Sovereign Jialan's transmission entered Yi Chen's cave abode, dozens of breaths later, the entrance to Yi Chen's cave opened, and he directly flew out from it. Chapter 878, Heavenly God Mountain opens. Yi Chen, why do I sense a particularly unusual aura about you? Like sword force, yet like blade force, and even more so like a terrifying thunder-lightning slaughter power? As soon as she noticed Yi Chen landing in front of her, Sovereign Jialan immediately voiced her observation. However, while she was speaking, this sensation disappeared, and Yi Chen's special aura completely dissipated, leaving no trace of abnormality. Sovereign Jialan, you truly live up to your reputation as a 7-star sovereign. Your senses are incredibly sharp, said Yi Chen with a smile. I have been cultivating a divine art recently and, in my haste, it seems the killing force from the divine art has not fully dispersed, which is why you could sense it. Cultivating a divine art? Sovereign Jialan nodded. This divine art of yours must be extraordinary. I only sensed it for an instant, but I felt an indescribably strange impression, as if it's a killing force not belonging to our universe's divine arts. Yi Chen smiled and said, I'm not sure how powerful this divine art actually is, but it should be quite decent. Perhaps after entering Heavenly God Mountain, I'll have a chance to try it out. Sovereign Jialan's intuition was not wrong. The aura of the divine art revealed by Yi Chen just now was indeed the result of the divine art he had created over the past month in the Stars Tower. Sovereign Jialan said she felt that the aura of this divine art was as if it did not belong to this universe, because it was a self-created divine art by Yi Chen. Furthermore, this self-created divine art was designed specifically to wield the starry origin power of those 7 dazzling stars. The starry origin power was left by the creator of the primordial star scripture, ZG Star-Lord, originating from the cosmic sea and, of course, does not belong to this universe. Creating this divine art in just over a month is quite a short time. Yi Chen has dubbed his self-created divine art Origin Slash, and in this past month, he has just begun to create the first move. Yi Chen designated this first move as Origin Slash First Form. This first form may not yet be called a fully formed divine art, but when executed with the starry origin power, it has become yet another trump card in Yi Chen's arsenal. Yi Chen has already tested the power of this first form, and among all his techniques, it ranks second only to the divine might of the blue extreme ice flame, making it the second most powerful in Yi Chen's multitude of methods. It's even more formidable than Yi Chen's current Eternal God Body Earth Divine Pattern technique and the Mysterious Spirit Thousand Sword skills Technique. After all, the eternal God body earth divine pattern technique and the mysterious spirit thousand sword skills technique can only be executed with normal Tai divine power. But for Yi Chen's self-created origin/first form, the power exerted surpasses normal Tai divine power, utilizing the far mightier starry origin power. With this new trump card, Yi Chen even feels he might contend against true superior heavenly divine venerables. Moreover, with blue extreme ice flame at his disposal, defeating all superior heavenly divine venerables might not be impossible. In such circumstances, Yi Chen feels an even greater confidence in venturing to Heavenly God Mountain. After all, Yi Chen heard that among the divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms presently here, the strongest top 3 demon-level divine kings possess combat power at the level of superior heavenly divine venerables. Even if they are exceedingly powerful among those with superior heavenly divine venerable level combat power, they probably won't be a match for Yi Chen at his full strength. As Yi Chen contemplated, Sovereign Jialan smiled and said to him, "Let's go, Yi Chen. It's time to meet up with the others who are heading to Heavenly God Mountain." Yi Chen nodded, sealed up his dwelling, and then followed Sovereign Jialan to the gathering point. The gathering point for this trip to Heavenly God Mountain is located in the very heart of the Divine King Disciples' residential continent at the Supreme Divine Institute. At this moment, 400,000 divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms have already converged on this central realm. Apart from these divine kings from the 4 great divine kingdoms, the local martial artists from the mountain divine nation of Wanmu Mountain are also gathered here. Apart from the top 100 on the Great God Institute's God King list who earned the qualifications to go to Heavenly God Mountain, with over 70 people ready to explore, there are countless other divine kings from numerous other forces across Star Continent chosen by the 9 divine institutes also granted the opportunity to go to Heavenly God Mountain. The number of local martial artists from Wanmu Mountain's Mountain Divine Nation heading to Heavenly God Mountain is not less than any of those from the 4 great divine kingdoms, with over 120,000 divine kings from Mountain Divine Nation gathered here alone. Together with the divine kings from the 4 other great divine kingdoms, the total exceeds 520,000. This crowd virtually packed the central realm to the brim, teeming with figures everywhere. One small force from Mountain Divine Nation known as Heavenly Dragon Sect has brought 3 divine kings. Among these 3 divine kings, 2 are upper god kings, while the other is a middle god king. As a smaller force within Mountain Divine Nation, the 3 currently find themselves squeezed at the periphery of the central realm. After all, only the top 100 disciples from the Great God Institute's God King list and the formidable prodigies of other great divine kingdoms, as well as Mountain Divine Nation's powerful forces, are able to stay in the core area of the central realm's void. Or it's the brilliant divine kings from the other powerful forces of Mountain Divine Nation. As a small power from the Mountain Divine Nation of Wanmu Mountain, the Heavenly Dragon Sect unexpectedly obtained quotas to travel to Heavenly God Mountain, with reservations that they could only squeeze in at the very edge. One of the 3 god kings from the Heavenly Dragon Sect, an upper god king, said, "We don't know if this trip to Heavenly God Mountain will bring us fortune or misfortune. Though the chance to venture to Heavenly God Mountain is coveted by countless people, and our sect received these 3 quotas seemingly by chance after helping an important person of the divine nation, it is said that out of 10,000 people who go, it is already good if even one survives. Given that over 520,000 people have gathered this time, I fear that less than 50 will live to leave Heavenly God Mountain alive. The vast majority will become cannon fodder, perishing within Heavenly God Mountain. As a junior god king from a small power like ours, we surely cannot compare to the disciples on the God King list from the 9 great God institutes. I'm afraid we will become the cannon fodder." Another upper god king, however, shook his head and said, "It cannot be said like that. Although the 9 great God institutes sent only a little more than 70 people this time, far fewer than the combined forces of other powers from the Mountain Divine Nation, the majority of those who survive will undoubtedly be the talented God Kings from the Great God Institutes and those from other divine nations. But every time, there are God Kings from small powers who stumble upon astonishing fortunes and make great gains within Heavenly God Mountain. Perhaps this time, the great fortune will fall upon us. This opportunity to explore Heavenly God Mountain is extraordinarily precious, and we didn't obtain it easily. We must cherish it. Even if we end up becoming cannon fodder and dying on Heavenly God Mountain, we must not give up. These words from the Upper God King caused the first Upper God King who spoke to nod in agreement. I will certainly not give up on this chance. Even if the possibility is slim, I must give it a try. I just mean that, though the Institute sent fewer people, each one is an elite. Furthermore, the rumors say that among the 4 other great divine kingdoms there are demon-level exceptional talents amongst the God Kings. Most likely, those who ultimately survive will be the strong among them, leaving us with very slim hopes. Yes, this is also true. The other Upper God King agreed with a nod. The 2 Upper God Kings from the Heavenly Dragon sect kept talking, but the Middle God King beside them remained silent all along. Upon noticing the silence from the Middle God King, the 2 Upper God Kings turned to him and asked, Yennong, Junior Brother, why are you so quiet? Junior Brother, don't worry about the journey to Heavenly God Mountain. Although you are only at the Middle God King realm, you came to the divine nation from the lower realm, and were personally taken as a disciple by the leader of our Heavenly Dragon sect. In just beyond 2 years, you have broken through from a lower God King to a Middle God King. Perhaps this time you too could gain a great opportunity. Hearing the words of the 2 Upper God Kings, the Middle God King named Yennong spoke, God King Mo Li, God King Fong Han, I'm not worried. After all, whether one can come back alive from Heavenly God Mountain depends on luck. I've been quiet because I wonder if there's a chance to see an old acquaintance at the Supreme Divine Institute. An old acquaintance? Upon hearing Yennong's words, the God Kings Mo Li and Fong Han beside him were both taken aback. What? Yennong, Junior Brother, you have an old acquaintance in the Supreme Divine Institute. Yennong nodded. Yes, this old acquaintance of mine came to the divine nation from the lower realm a few years ago, just like me. Moreover, he is much younger than me and even more amazing. Back in the lower realm, I heard he would join one of the 9 great God institutes. Before I came to the divine nation, I learned that he had successfully entered the strongest Supreme Divine Institute, and I saw his name on the God King list of the 9 institutes. I don't know if the name is really his, or if it just happens to be someone with the same name. When we parted a few years ago, he was at the Heavenly Saint realm. If he's joined the Supreme Divine Institute, he must have reached the true God realm by now. But just in a few years to say he has entered the God King realm, and even ranked among the top few on the God King list, it all seems quite unbelievable. Yennong's words caused his companions to shake their heads repeatedly. Coming to the divine nation from the lower realm a few years ago, and being only a heavenly saint? Even if he joined the Supreme Divine Institute, it must have been a strain, let alone climbing to the top ranks of the God King list. Don't bother looking. That influential figure among the top ranks of the God King list must be someone with the same name as your acquaintance. Not the person you knew. God Kings Mo Li and Fong Han beside Yennong were definitive in their opinion. Yennong sighed. It's a pity that our Heavenly Dragon sect is a small power and cannot get too much information about the 9 great God institutes. We have only a copied God King list, so we know the ranking. Even the information about my acquaintance joining the Supreme Divine Institute was told to his family by an influential figure who went to the lower realm, which is how I knew. But given his wonder back in the lower realm, perhaps, he really could create such a miracle in the Supreme Divine Institute. As the 3 of them were talking, they saw a disturbance in the core area in front. Even the formidable God Kings seated in the most central area of the void were all standing up as if on cue. The trio also heard a wave of noisy voices reaching their ears. Yi-chun is here. Brother Yi-chun has finally arrived. It's been a long time since we've seen Brother Yi-chun. He must be even more formidable now. It's said that the strongest God King of the entire Mountain Divine Nation is him now, and that even the exceptional talents among the top 10 God Kings from the other 4 great divine kingdoms may not be stronger than him. In these noisy voices, the name Yi-chun was mentioned frequently and in unison. The old acquaintance I spoke of is called Yi-chun. Has he arrived? Yennong hurriedly looked in the direction where everyone standing was gazing. Mo Li, the God King beside him, and Fong Han, The God King were both momentarily stunned and then hastened to look over. This Yi Chun, could it be the person ranked 7th on the God King list? But he's only in the 7th position. Why are almost everyone saying he is the strongest God King of the Mountain Divine Nation? Chapter 879 Old Friend. After Sovereign Jialan flew Yi Chun to the gathering site, she temporarily parted ways with him, heading directly toward the void where the leading sovereigns of this expedition were located. This time, the God Kings from the Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain, along with those from 4 other great divine kingdoms, are joining forces to charge Heavenly God Mountain, with each kingdom dispatching 3 sovereigns to lead the team. Among the 3 leading sovereigns from the Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain was Sovereign Jialan from the Supreme Divine Institute, who had just brought Yi Chun to the gathering site. The other 2 are from the Territory King Mansion of the Northern Territory and the capital of the Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain. The leading sovereign from the Territory King Mansion of the Northern Territory has a higher realm even than Sovereign Jialan and higher than the Northern Territory King himself, being a 9-star sovereign. This sovereign is known as Sovereign Tian Mei, a female sovereign. It is said that both the current Northern Territory King and the previous one, who has become an existence surpassing a sovereign, were raised by Sovereign Tian Mei. Sovereign Tian Mei has not appeared in the Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain for a long time, and this time she volunteered to be the leading sovereign heading to Heavenly God Mountain, which stirred immense shock among the countless sovereigns of Wanmu Mountain. Even the leading sovereigns from the other 4 great divine kingdoms were surprised beyond measure. After all, it was rare for Wanmu Mountain's divine kingdom to have a 9-star sovereign take the lead. The countless sovereigns of Wanmu Mountain vaguely guessed that Sovereign Tian Mei's request to lead, just like Sovereign Jialan's, must be influenced by the Northern Territory King and Sovereign Xueqin, both powerful figures. Sovereign Jialan is a disciple of Sovereign Xueqin, and Sovereign Tian Mei is the peak individual who raised the Northern Territory King. With their arrival, numerous sovereigns speculated that they probably came for Yi Chun's sake. Although, on the surface, it might appear to be supervising Yi Chun to fulfill the second demand of the 2 great sovereigns, to charge into Heavenly God Mountain and come out alive. But in reality, all the sovereigns knew they must be there to protect Yi Chun, to shield Yi Chun from the influences of the leading sovereigns from the other 4 great divine kingdoms, as well as those from the Divine Kingdom of Wanmu Mountain, to allow Yi Chun to wholeheartedly charge into Heavenly God Mountain. At this time, the Northern Territory King and Sovereign Xueqin had both gone to the splendid Star Sea, so they dispatched their closest and most trusted formidable sovereigns to take care of Yi Chun in their stead. Otherwise, all sovereigns guessed that the Northern Territory King and Sovereign Xueqin might have personally shown up, just like when Yi Chun fulfilled the first demand of the 2 great sovereigns, to obtain the first place in the examination of the 9 great God institutes. The 2 great sovereigns would personally provide support for Yi Chun, just as countless sovereigns had guessed. When Sovereign Jialan arrived with Yi Chun, as soon as she reached the void where the leading sovereigns were, Sovereign Tian Mei nodded to her and sent a telepathic message. Is Yi Chun ready? He's ready, and Yi Chun is quite confident. Sovereign Jialan replied to Sovereign Tian Mei with a smile. Sovereign Tian Mei smiled and turned her gaze towards Yi Chun. In her heart, Sovereign Tian Mei murmured, "Is this the youngster Lear fancies? Not bad. He indeed possesses an extraordinary temperament. On this journey, I must protect this youngster. Otherwise, those 2 girls will probably blame this old lady to death." She silently mused. As the murmuring in her heart came to a close, a supremely confident expression emerged in Sovereign Tian Mei's eyes. It's unclear whether she can enter Heavenly God Mountain. But outside of Heavenly God Mountain, with her present, absolutely no one can mistreat Yi Chun, not even other 9-star sovereigns. Sovereign Tian Mei had this absolute confidence. Sovereign Jialan flew to where the leading sovereigns were located, while Yi Chun set off towards the gathering place of the God Kings. Whoosh! As soon as Yi Chun arrived, the countless God Kings on the outside voluntarily stepped aside, opening up a pathway for Yi Chun to the most central area. Senior Brother Yi Chun! Senior Brother Yi Chun! Many God Kings, regardless of whether they knew Yi Chun or not, excitedly shouted his name. Yi Chun glanced around and soon spotted many familiar figures in the central area. There were the formidable God Kings listed on the God King list of the Supreme Divine Institute, demon-level individuals like Hua Xuelian, Lin Shan, Sima Liao from the four great divine kingdoms, and even at the periphery of the central area was Xian Chong, whom he had defeated before. Xian Chong, after being depleted of 100 drops of essence blood, and even his life origin suffering damage, still managed to rank highly among the 400,000 God Kings of the four great divine kingdoms. Upon seeing Yi Chen's gaze turning his way, Xian Chong's face changed. He both hated and feared Yi Chen. Seeing Yi Chen's glance, his neck involuntarily shrank back in fear. Hua Xuelian, ranked first among the 10 demon-level unparalleled geniuses of the four great divine kingdoms, instead smiled at Yi Chen and even nodded in greeting. As for Lin Shan, ranked second, he was a bald man dedicated to his cultivation, still in meditative practice, seemingly oblivious to the countless people around him. Regarding Sima Liao, his eyes flickered as he watched Yi Chen, though it was unclear what he was thinking. Yi Chen noticed that the individuals from the God King list of the Supreme Divine Institute like Yang Yun and Yang Yan were not present this time. Presumably, they have either already entered Heavenly God Mountain, or they simply had no intention of going in. Yi Chen also noticed in the central area a graceful and elegant young girl in a white dress curiously sizing him up. This young girl even transmitted a message to Yi Chen. "Are you Yi Chen, whom Sister Longli mentioned? My name is Mu Qingxue. Nice to meet you." Mu Qingxue? Yi Chen was startled. Was this young girl the genius ranked second on the God King list from the Taiching Divine Institute? When Yi Chen was challenging the God King list, he had heard the fat God King praise Mu Qingxue's capabilities for quite a while. Yi Chen was even more aware that this young girl, about the same age as Long Li and on good terms with her, came from the northern region of the Divine Kingdom and was exceptionally powerful even within the Middle God King realm. Yi Chen didn't expect that upon meeting this young girl for the first time, she would act as if she already knew him and even took the initiative to greet him. Yi Chen also nodded and smiled back at Mu Qingxue before turning his attention to the others. The God Kings from other regions and forces of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom gathered in the venue were almost all strangers to Yi Chen. However, when Yi Chen's gaze fell upon the 3 God Kings from the Heavenly Dragon Sect at the corner of the gathering place, particularly the middle God King Yen Nong, an expression of utter surprise appeared on his face. Ancient Emperor Senior. Yi Chen's face lit up with joy. He immediately flew towards the corner of the venue. God King Mo Li and God King Feng Han were simply shocked to the extreme. Being situated at the edge of the gathering area and coming from a minor force as junior God Kings, when they squeezed their way to the edge, almost no one noticed them. But when Yi Chen flew towards them, the 2 God Kings could feel that nearly all the tens of thousands of God Kings in the venue were looking at them. The 2 of them also felt that even the divine senses of powerful and extraordinary sovereigns were sweeping over them. They had never been the focus of so many figures before. Good heavens! Could it be that this Yi Chen truly is a friend of junior brother Yen Nong? How is this possible, to change from a heavenly saint to a God King in just a few years, and to be such a formidable God King at that? How can this be? God King Mo Li and God King Feng Han both opened their mouths wide in astonishment. The 2 of them knew that they had attracted so much attention solely because of this Yi Chen. At this moment, Yen Nong's eyes were also filled with a mixture of surprise and joy. This Yen Nong was the very ancient emperor of the Yen clan from the minor spirit realm. Soon after Yi Chen arrived in the Divine Kingdom, Yen Nong, who had just advanced to the God King realm, was spotted by a divine venerable and taken as a disciple and brought to the Divine Kingdom. Later on, he joined the Heavenly Dragon Sect, a sect managed by that divine venerable and cultivated there. The Heavenly Dragon Sect was located in a minor place within the southern territory of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Kingdom. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan seldom heard major news of the Divine Kingdom. He only found out that Yi Chen was ranked 7th on the God King list when he received a copied scroll of the list. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan never expected that the Yi Chen who was 7th on the God King list was the same Yi Chen he knew. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan had even less anticipated that Yi Chen, only a little over 3 years into the Divine Kingdom, would make such a name for himself in the Supreme Divine Institute, ranking first among the 9 Divine Institutes. This reputation was clearly beyond that of the 7th rank on the God King list. Clearly, the rank of 7th on the God King list alone wouldn't cause so many people to look at Yi Chun with respect. The ancient emperor of the Yen clan knew that Yi Chun must have achieved countless miraculous feats unknown even to him. In just over 3 years, he has made such a name for himself in the divine kingdom. Yi Chun. He truly lives up to the reputation of a remarkably talented genius. Whether in the lower realm or in the divine kingdom, he still shines like a star, brightly without parallel. In the midst of his emotion, Yi Chun had already flown before him. Ancient Emperor Senior, long time no see. I didn't expect to find you here in the divine kingdom. Encountering the ancient emperor of the Yen clan here, Yi Chun was utterly astonished to the core. He could never have imagined that among the crowd gathered for the trip to Heavenly God Mountain, he would encounter the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, a figure from his past with whom he had much interaction. At this time, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan was also exceptionally excited, with numerous questions pouring out. Yi Chun, you've broken through to the lower God King realm? And how could a lower God King realm manage to break into the God King list? Yi Chun, please tell me about your experiences in the divine kingdom. I'm certain they must be absolutely magical. Yi Chun smiled. Senior, I too was just thinking about learning some news from our homeland. Yi Chun then directly discussed with the ancient emperor of the Yen clan the events that had happened to each of them since they parted. Who is that middle God King? How could he make brother Yi Chun actually fly over and talk to him? When people saw that Yi Chun did not head towards the core area of the gathering place but flew down to the side where a middle God King was, many started inquiring about the ancient emperor of the Yen clan. When they learned that this God King named Yen Nong, like Yi Chun, came from the lower realm, many were taken aback. Brother Yi Chun is a martial artist from the lower realm? My goodness, that he could be so formidable coming from the lower realm is incredible. The vast majority of the people in the venue were aware of Yi Chun's power. However, very few knew that Yi Chun came from the lower realm. At this moment, the eyes of these God Kings widened. Yi Chun was conversing with the ancient emperor of the Yen clan. God Kings who had not yet arrived at the gathering area eventually came one after another. When the time for the gathering to end came around, the number of God Kings going to Heavenly God Mountain had reached 530,000. All the God Kings who had obtained slots to challenge Heavenly God Mountain were present. At this time, one of the 3 leading sovereigns of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, from the capital of the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation and an 8-star sovereign, gave a fist salute to Sovereign Tianmei and Sovereign Jialan, and then nodded to the other 4 great Divine Kingdom team-leading sovereigns before stepping forward. This sovereign was called Sovereign Ziyang. His gaze swept across the faces of countless God Kings. In the end, his voice reached everyone. Now that everyone has arrived, I will inform you of the matters to pay attention to when attempting to ascend Heavenly God Mountain. Hearing Sovereign Ziyang's words, Yi Chun and all the others stopped their conversations and turned their attention towards Sovereign Ziyang. Chapter 880- Domain of Sin and Heavenly God List. Sovereign Ziyang nodded his head as he looked at the countless gazes fixed on himself. He said aloud, Heavenly God Mountain is a mountain of opportunity, but also a mountain of death. Among the 530,000 of you who can enter Heavenly God Mountain this time, based on past experience, if even 50 of you come out alive, that would be quite impressive. In other words, the vast majority of you will lose your lives upon entering Heavenly God Mountain, even though they had long known about the high mortality rate of Heavenly God Mountain. Hearing Sovereign Ziyang say it again still made countless God Kings turn solemn. At this moment, Sovereign Ziyang continued, Of course, while the death rate is indeed terrifying, whether you can come out alive also depends on strength and especially fortune. Therefore, each of you has the opportunity to be the last survivor. Once you become a survivor, you will obtain unimaginable benefits. I dare not speak of other treasures or opportunities, but at the very least, each of you will be able to raise your realm by 1 level, and some may even jump several levels directly. Many of those who survived in the past have stepped directly from the God King realm into the Earth Divine Venerable realm, and some have even rushed from the Upper God King realm up to the Upper Earth Divine Venerable realm, and even the Heavenly Divine Venerable realm. Boom! The words of Sovereign Ziyang immediately excited the many God Kings who had been solemn up to now. They risked great dangers to charge into Heavenly God Mountain precisely for this groundbreaking opportunity to continuously enhance their realms. Outside, most of them could not improve their realm until death, or would straight up be killed by divine tribulation while attempting to break through realm bottlenecks. After all, to break through from God King to Divine Venerable Realm is an even lower probability than 1 in 10,000. But entering Heavenly God Mountain, as long as you survive and break out, you will definitely be able to raise your realm. Not to mention the countless precious treasures and opportunities rumored to be within Heavenly God Mountain. These combined are worth the great risks they're willing to take. Yi Chun also eagerly anticipated this in his mind and spirit. He is currently at the lower God King's peak realm, and breaking through again would surely allow him to become a middle God King or even an upper God King. Even if he becomes a middle God King, it will absolutely increase Yi Chun's combat power once again. After all, with every realm breakthrough, Yi Chun could greatly increase the amount of Tai divine power, which is far more terrifying than other people's improvement in combat power when they break through a realm. Now, Yi Chun was confident that he could kill individuals at the superior Heavenly Divine Venerable level, and if his realm rises again, it might even become possible to confront the immortal Divine Venerable. As Yi Chun longed for the new realm, someone could no longer restrain themselves and inquired towards Sovereign Ziyang. Senior, may I ask what dangers we will encounter this time as we charge into Heavenly God Mountain? And how can we obtain the opportunities within Heavenly God Mountain? The others also voiced out, yes, it is said that each time Heavenly God Mountain is challenged, the situations faced are different. Before Heavenly God Mountain opens, divine stones fly out from within, clarifying many things about the challenge of Heavenly God Mountain. Those seniors who guard the outside of Heavenly God Mountain must have obtained divine stones and know many details about this time's Heavenly God Mountain. Senior, you must have obtained news as well. Please enlighten us. Seeing that the crowd could no longer hold back their questions about the specifics of Heavenly God Mountain and didn't wish to listen to more idle talk, Sovereign Ziyang went straight to discussing the important matters concerning Heavenly God Mountain. Indeed, I have received some news this time about challenging Heavenly God Mountain. At this point, Sovereign Ziyang's expression turned serious. Heavenly God Mountain, according to past occurrences, is divided into 4 layers, from bottom to top. Although each time the 4 layers change, but the structure of having 4 layers absolutely does not change. Moreover, the higher the world, the more precious the benefits gained. And in the end, only by finding the exit from the 4th layer can one come out of Heavenly God Mountain. Regarding the situations in the next few layers, the divine stones did not detail, but how to challenge the 1st layer was indeed elaborated in the divine stones. I must tell you that this time, the danger level of the 1st layer world might belong to the absolute danger category among the historical challenges of Heavenly God Mountain. Because this time, Heavenly God Mountain's 1st layer will be connected with countless domains of sin, and numerous dangerous individuals will flood into the 1st layer. The number of these dangerous individuals will be several dozen times more than you. Also, they will be your adversaries in your challenge of the 1st layer. When people heard the words domain of sin, many of their faces changed color. Those who had not heard of the domain of sin also hurriedly asked what this place was. At this point, Sovereign Ziyang explained directly, I'm afraid many people don't know what the domain of sin is. Let me clarify. Within Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, there exist countless places where divine sense probes are obscured and combat power is impacted. These places have become the hideouts for countless desperate assassins or evildoers wanted by major forces. Such places dense with assassins and wrongdoers are referred to as domains of sin, because domains of sin can help conceal one's trails. More and more assassins and evildoers have flocked there, with individuals of various strengths. It's unknown what method Heavenly God Mountain used this time to connect with countless domains of sin. It's said that Heavenly God Mountain also sent divine stones to all major domains of sin, issuing them the Divine Pardon Order Recruitment Command. It is said that once you people enter Heavenly God Mountain, you will be placed on a list called Heavenly God List, according to combat power ranking. And at the same time, Heavenly God Mountain will draw in countless deadly assassins and evildoers from the connected domains of sin to target and hunt you down. Once they complete the assassination of you, they can meet the requirements of the Divine Pardon Order, receive the divine light bestowed by Heavenly God Mountain, and no longer have to hide within the domain of sin. They can regain their freedom and return to the Divine Kingdom. Our Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation will also abide by the rules of Heavenly God Mountain, no longer pursuing their past misdeeds. All of their previous sins will be erased with one stroke. If anyone violates this, the Divine Pardon Order will also help them resolve the crisis. The feeling of living anxiously within the domain of sin is not pleasant, and under such circumstances, one can imagine that those assassins and villains will definitely go all out to complete their assassination mission. Therefore, you are surely in extreme danger. Although the people who will be targeting you are likely to be matched with your level of combat power, those assassins and villains from the domain of sin are not to be underestimated. Even outside their mission, they may decide to kill you if they take a dislike to you. This adds a further layer of death risk beyond the mission itself. And you can't always hide, because, depending on your combat power, there are different requirements for you on the Heavenly God list. Heavenly God Mountain's requirement for those assassins and villains is to assassinate you, while Heavenly God Mountain's requirement for you is to assassinate those assassins and villains. Only by fulfilling the Heavenly God list requirements can you enter the second layer of Heavenly God Mountain's world to face new trials. Sovereign Ziyang's explanation on the situation of venturing through the first layer of Heavenly God Mountain made all the divine kings in the audience reveal expressions filled with both tension and anticipation. Originally, the mission for the first layer of Heavenly God Mountain is to engage in mutual assassination with the evildoers from the domain of sin. Everyone is curious about where they will rank on the Heavenly God list, what requirements will be set for them by the Heavenly God list, and who among the assassins and villains of various levels will be targeting them. It seems that we will only find out after entering the first layer of Heavenly God Mountain. However, since Sovereign Ziyang said that the Heavenly God list is ranked according to combat power, then I'm afraid the level of assassins and villains targeting figures like Hua Shulian, Lin Shan, Sima Liao, and Yichan will be the highest. Correspondingly, for people like Hua Shulian to complete their mission, the assassins and villains they must target will also be of the highest level. Countless people speculated. After all, since the Heavenly God list ranks based on combat power, everyone has a premonition that the level of the mission will definitely also be related to combat power. At this time, the ancient emperor of the Yen clan next to Yichan said to him, "Yichan, you are a master on the God King list. Those targeting you must be experts similar to you. You must be cautious." Yichan nodded. He must overcome Heavenly God Mountain, let alone its first layer. He definitely cannot allow himself to fall at the hands of those assassins and villains of the first layer. Yichan also said to the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, "Senior, you must be careful too. We will move together depending on the situation." Yichan's combat power is now much stronger than the ancient emperor of the Yen clan, and he would certainly help the ancient emperor if he could lend a hand. God King Mo Li and God King Feng Han next to the ancient emperor of the Yen clan also rejoiced when they heard Yichan's words. Having the formidable figure Yichan acting with them, their safety would be much more assured. As the crowd buzzed with discussion, Sovereign Ziyang waved his hand and declared, "Let's go. Now we sovereigns shall take you to Heavenly God Mountain." Heavenly God Mountain is an incredibly mystical realm within Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. Whether you can come out alive depends on your own fate. Boom! 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 With these words, Sovereign Ziyang, Sovereign Tianmei, Sovereign Jialan, and the leaders of the four great divine kingdoms, with a sweep of their large sleeves, took their respective divine kings of their divine nations onto a flying boat, and then everyone flew towards Heavenly God Mountain. Heavenly God Mountain is located at the edge of the Southern Territory within the Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation. It does not border the entire governed region of the Southern Territory, being a territory beyond the boundary. When Yichan and his party were brought to Heavenly God Mountain, The first sight of Heavenly God Mountain shook the hearts of countless people. Heaven. This Heavenly God Mountain actually sat within a vast sea of stars, resembling a towering divine mountain, floating directly above the ocean. From the outside, Heavenly God Mountain was already unimaginably high. Merely gazing at it from afar was larger than the combined 18 continents of the Supreme Divine Institute. And inside, Yi Chun and the others knew it would likely be even more massive. After all, there are 4 layers of the world inside. As Yi Chun and the other 530,000 divine kings flew towards Heavenly God Mountain. In numerous domain of Sin territories of Wanmu Mountain Divine Nation, there were vast starlit circles, and at this moment countless people were already flying into these circles. These people were none other than the assassins and villains hiding in the domain of Sin. They all looked up, waiting for the descent of the Heavenly God list, the issuance of their missions, and even more so, to be pulled into the first layer of Heavenly God Mountain to assassinate the prodigies venturing Heavenly God Mountain and to obtain their divine pardon light.